All right. Welcome, everyone, to the FATED Connections Path of Exile Community Podcast, episode number 57. Today, we're joined, as usual, by our regular BalorMage, and then we got SuitSizeSmall, who is running labs every day for PoELab.com, a resource that many of you, if not everyone, are already using. And we got SlipperyJim, who makes fun videos on YouTube and live streams, where he has these projects and sheets like Google Sheets, where he collects data of different mechanics 100 times this or that and presents it to you in a very entertaining manner. So, but without any further intro doodaloo ado, BalorMage, what have you been up to in your past week since we last saw?
Spending 60x on something that looks like it was built on about 12 chaos. I tried to make agnostic crit work. Agnostic cast on crit scion.
Okay.
And let me tell you.
What skill?
Oh, I tried everything that would work in cosplays. I spent the last 2 days trying out everything. It takes me like over a minute to kill a tier 16 map boss.
Oh. That's terrible.
It's real bad, man. I can't fix it.
Utilizing everything that you could. But
I mean,
you say agnostic.
Indigon.
Okay.
Which I did throw on Indigon, and that did bring it down to about 30 seconds.
But it's like a mana scaling build. You're trying to... Are you using Arcane Cloak at all? Or are you using Archmage support? Well,
no Archmage.
Yeah, I was wondering, because I was thinking that Archmage could be great now that you still have to pay the cost on triggered skills. So on like a cast on crit setup
Last league with the setup I had, with the investment I had, the build would have been doing 13 million damage.
Okay.
Now it's doing 600k.
Ow. That's harsh.
Uh-huh.
Where did all that damage go?
But I don't know, but it's not in my character.
No, but I mean, like, there's just only so much that we can reasonably account for, right? I mean, the support gem nerfs is like...
I honestly can't figure out what's wrong. I expected that it would do like at least 6 instead of like 12-ish million. And I can't even get it to up million. So I'm done.
That sounds fishy.
I did have like 300 people looking at it as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like there were 300 people watching and we couldn't fix the build.
That seems odd.
We're just not going to do that. That's just not a viable build anymore. Cast on crit is still fine in theory, but doing it the like agnostic scion way was always significantly less damage. It was just significantly less damage, but still enough damage and way, way tankier. Yeah. Not an option anymore. Just go and make a normal, like a cultist or assassin or inquisitor or like something that's a real class instead.
All right.
That's just the answer, apparently.
I still hope that you can figure it out at some point, because like I said, I mean, you already had a bunch of people look at it, but I can't figure out how you would go from 12 million or whatever you said to less than a million. I mean, there's many factors, many things that have been changed, but honestly, like a loss that big?
I think that the ones that were doing 12 million had ice spears in. And no matter what I do or how I look at it, Cyclone is not big enough for ice spears to hit the second phase before it hits mobs. So I'm not getting the crit multi or the second form.
Mm. Yeah, it seems like ice spear would be a really bad skill for cast on crit on a Cycloner.
And so I think those were just Path of Building Warriors.
I hate to suggest Ice Spear enchant so it turns in the second form faster.
Look, I've just decided to give up.
The lab runner suggests an enchant, Bella. Have you tried running lab to fix your build?
Listen, I exist in trade. Enchants are cheap as shit. I don't understand how anyone's making money running lab anymore.
Not about making money.
There are very specific ones. This will suffer a lot.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, I remember there's like a handful of really big ticket ones, basically the ones that make or break your builds and give like a significant amount of
It has
buff.
to be like a combination of like a mandatory unique you need and an enchant for that build that's incredibly good, and then throw them together.
And then step up from that would actually be Influence Helmet with meta enchant on it.
Yep.
Which would be dummy expensive for like bow and helmets and whatnot.
So I assume you already have the correct enchant for your build, SuitSizeSmall.
Yes. I actually had 2 correct enchants for my builds because I had that problem where I just couldn't figure out what to play, so I kind of re-rolled a bunch of times. And the 2 enchants that I came across were one for the Holy Relic character, but before that, I got a Frostbomb cooldown recovery enchant. So I did Archmage Frostbomb for a couple of days there, using it was Hierophants, full mana, and what was it? What's that? Pledge of Hands. So I was Spell Greater Spell Awaken Spell Cascade. One cast would drop 4 sets of Frost Bombs, and because of Awaken Spell Cascade, it would be that giant plus across the screen.
Oh yeah, yep.
So I just stack 4 of those, and it would just annihilate the screen. But unfortunately, the mana regen changes really suck, and the mana flask nerf really sucked. So while I had okay damage, I wasn't super tanky, despite having like 8-9k mana. So
yeah,
that was still a very like it was one of those. This is an expensive build. I could have spent this currency on something a much better build, but at least it's fun because it's something oddly satisfying about dropping frost bombs as a main skill. And it's like, oh, this is working.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, you got Archmage working. That's
it. Well, actually, the reason Archmage works and the reason Frostbomb works, Frostbomb has a 300% added effectiveness to it. So it's like, okay, yeah, that's gonna give enough damage.
Right. Yep, that'll fix it.
Yeah, and I guess I probably should have mentioned the reason the cooldown enchant's important is because the time it takes for me to cast 4 times, and with less duration and time for it explodes, by the time all that's done, cooldowns back up right away with the enchant. So just drop it, as long as I'm moving in between the explosions.
That sounds really cool.
I just took that to Cirrus 5, and then I moved into my Holy Relic character, and that's just been going pretty smooth since then.
Yeah, I'm really curious to hear more about different Archmage projects. When I first saw the first nerfs in the patch notes, I was like, oh, it's possibly still gonna work. It's not gonna be like super good solo self-found, but at top level investment, you'll still be able to get like reasonable defense and offense at the same time. But from like the more I hear, the more dead the support gem seems. I feel it's just really almost always better to do something else with the
Honestly,
same
for
amount
me,
of investment.
it's just that mana regen doesn't feel good anymore. Like, I have a lot of mana, and the damage seems like I could definitely get better, especially if I invest even more in getting flat mana on pieces, but it's just the regen's not going to help. I have all the mana and have damage, but my recovery is a shot.
Yeah, they got a recovery in so many places. I mean, yeah. What was it? It's Clarity got its
It was
where
Arcane
was it? No, it was
Surge.
Arcane Surge had
Arcane Surge got screwed.
Bonus screwed. It
I
used to
Clarity
provide
stayed
like
the same,
a flat region based on your max mana, right? And now it's just increased mana region rate.
Yeah, I think it was based on it was this or it was percent flat last time, but now it's percent increase.
Yeah.
Either way, it lost a lot of endgame power, but technically super early, like while you're leveling your first character, super buffed. Actually, Arcane Surge in like Act 1 is giving you like 4 or 5 times as much mana as it used to. And it just doesn't keep scaling at all.
So, Act 1 buff.
Yeah. It's there to get you to level 18 where you put in a different support gem.
Yep.
Even if you get all the notes from the tree with Arcane Surge effect and
Oh, I was Hierophant with all the Arcane Surge effect.
Oh god. Yeah, the famous GGG quadruple or quintuple nerf where they really crush down on an archetype or on a certain build from all different angles that they can come up with. That's how it feels sometimes.
That's why I switched over Holy Relic, where the only nerf was support gems, Basalt Flask, and the Empower level 4 drop, and that was it.
Hmm. And how is that going?
Oh, it's fantastic. It feels just as good as I played last league, with a little bit less single target. Like, I'm still able to still walk through tier 16 maps with primarily mostly not carrying. I'm still a little scared about physical damage
What is
because
it again?
What?
I missed it. What was it? The villain?
Summon Holy Relic.
Oh, the Holy Relic. Right.
Yeah.
And you're
I
using
just
Static
have-
Strike to proc it.
Yeah, because the Static Strike pulse is synced equally to the Holy Relic internal cooldown for its Nova attack. So as long as I'm hitting things with Static Strike, being close enough, it'll just constantly pulse out.
What makes you pick that over just Cyclone?
Cyclone slows you down when you start spinning. So I personally like the Static Strike more because I was able to just left click and keep moving normally around
The
bosses
Static
and
Strike
whatnot.
gives the flat damage buff.
Yeah, and well, Grant with Static Strike every now and then I gotta stop and smack something and then just keep running. But it feels, it's still I still preferred it last league during throughout the entirety of Ultimatum, and still like it now. So it's been going pretty well. I'm working towards getting my last few watchstones because I just gotta do the outer 4 regions and I'll be done. Yeah, single target is fine. It's not good anymore. It's just fine now. I actually have to take time to fight bosses. Defense is still pretty good. I'm running Divine Flesh and all that. 6k HP, lots of life recovery rate due to Guardian and all that. So it's just going smooth. It's going smooth.
I do love Divine Flesh as a thing.
Good.
A good excuse to get a bunch of Chaos Rests.
The two things about that character are, one, Empower level 4 is expensive now. That's half the character cost of those 9 exalts for an Empower 4.
Wow.
Yeah,
I knew that they reduced the drop rate, but wow, that's a lot.
I think it feels like they reduced the drop rate of just the gem itself and not just like corrupted versions. Because I don't even think I found Enlighten, Empower, or Enhance.
I found a single Enhance the whole league. One Enhance. That's it.
I haven't found a single one either, I think.
Oh, I hate to be that guy, but I'm rich in gems. Sorry, I know nothing about builds. Farming, though. Hey, I've gotten like the green one and 2 red ones and 1 blue one. I don't know what they're called.
You have so many, you just don't know the names.
Yeah.
That is a lot.
What build are you playing though,
though.
SlimJim?
SlimJim?
SlimJippery.
I played Dervish at the start, and then I hated myself, and then I swapped to Herald of Thunder, and I got put the hat, buy the 10x hat, put the gem in, go boom boom, kill everything, explosions, go fast, kill things.
Yeah. Do I need a lot of investment for Herald of Thunder?
Nah.
Yeah, 10x hat.
You 5-link body armor, 5-link weapon, farm till you get a 10x hat, and then that's it. You win.
10x hat. All right.
Yep.
No, I because I think I got a Storm Secret ring from
Desire, yeah.
Crest of Desire, that's the name.
You can get it from Heist. Just do Gem Heist. You'll get it eventually.
Gem Heist?
If you like Heist. Yeah, Gem Heist. It just randomly shows up. It's like a
Gem
unique
Heist gives you a unique helmet.
Yeah, it just randomly shows up with the gems. Kind of like how those little orby things show up sometimes.
What? That's crazy. 5 to 8
just
level
like
of socketed gems.
Oh, it's like it's with the gems at the end. It's like an option.
Yeah, because it's not a replica unique or anything.
Yeah,
it's just the heist unique.
Mm-hmm.
Did not know that.
How likely am I going to see that if I do a bunch of blueprints, though?
I don't know. I'm not Reddit, so I don't just get one and assume the drop rate. So I haven't done that, so I don't know.
It's still 10x in standard, and it's not a very popular build. So,
one of my viewers actually, they intentionally went and farmed for that helmet. I think they bought like 30 blueprints and did them, and they got it.
Did get it
somewhere. Yeah, they got it.
And 30.
I did.
Yeah, somewhere in there they got it, and it's like, oh, that's.
But I already had mine, so I just sold it.
Wow.
Apparently, you could try and double crop it for a +12, but I don't know how that makes sense for like the single Herald of Thunder. You get like 2 mods that are +4 each, but one of them overlaps. I have no idea. Someone was trying to explain it to me. It didn't make any sense because I don't know how builds work.
Wait, but it says to level of socket to gems, so that also applies to Empower. That's crazy.
It's a one
It's a
socket
one
helmet.
socket. Yeah.
Oh, it does only have 1 socket. Okay, I'm an idiot. I mean, it would apply to Empower, but it wouldn't really help you much.
You could put Empower in there if you want, but it's not going to do anything.
Be a very high level in power
Put
though.
a portal in there. Yeah.
Okay, so because when I think of Herald of Thunder builds, I always think of builds that use the Coming Calamity chest piece, which limits the Herald mana reservation, and that's apparently not how you do it at all anymore.
I just steal builds off PoE Ninja, so everything you just said made no sense to me.
It's still it'll still function that way, but it's not good. Not compared to that. That's more damage by a significant margin, and on the reservation of 1 link.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I have to look into that. Because, I mean, I do have one of those Storm Secret rings, and I got Impulsa, and got some other stuff. Maybe I could throw that together.
Or are you softcore now?
What?
Are you still a hardcore player?
I'm HCSSF. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't recommend a build that makes you constantly kill yourself. You shouldn't play it.
Does it make you kill yourself?
Yes, that's the whole
You're
mechanic.
constantly hurting yourself. That's the thing.
You're constantly just dying, and if the mob you fight is too much HP and you have a lot of damage, you'll just kill yourself.
All right.
But no, actually, no. Get 2 of those rings, have a great time.
No, I mean, maybe I could just use one of those rings, or...
Yeah, you'll just play a good build. It's a glass cannon. Like,
it is quite a glass
I don't have
cannon.
to worry about defensive nerfs if I don't have defenses.
You can use you can use like a +4 max res staff and stuff to mitigate it a little. You can use a Legion Jewel to split it between energy shield and life, but like even when you go through that, you're still hurting yourself a decent amount.
I just ripped 2 10-way Maven encounter things. They were white, and I lost all 6 portals because I just have no defenses.
Yep, that's an issue.
My Aurabot wasn't there. I need an Aurabot to not die. That's how great this build is. Good damage, not really. Not compared to bloody Valor talking about losing his 12 million damage deeps. I put my deeps into PoB to check because I don't really use it to like, it's typically, I put it in, it says 16,000. I'm like, 16, that's pretty good. Yeah.
Not 1,000.
Yeah, 16,000.
That's not. No, that's you don't know how to path a building. You're not doing 16,000 DPS.
The Herald of Thunder wasn't, but typically when I put a build in, I'm like, yeah, that sounds on brand. That's pretty accurate.
Right. I was like, you're not clearing white maps on 16,000.
Herald of Thunder, I think it does like 1 million, and if I corrupt the helmet, it'll probably do more.
Yeah, that makes more sense. That makes much more sense. The build I'm currently playing, I spent 60 exalts on and was wearing a headhunter, and you do more damage than I do.
I mean, I have a headhunter as well, but I don't have that in PoB. Just get a 10x hat and put Herald of Thunder in and 2 rings, and you got more damage than you've currently got, apparently.
Yep.
That's all it takes, right? You don't have to do anything else to make builds work?
Yeah, apparently I need more damage, that's all.
I don't have any life or defenses, though. So, you probably need those. You probably don't.
I think I was nearly immortal, actually.
It's muted. Just saying.
What's muted?
Suit size.
Oh,
he was talking, but we didn't. He was moving his mouth, but nothing happened.
Yeah, I wasn't sure whether he was trying to talk to us or whether he is.
Nope, still not working. They tried to say something a little while ago, and nothing came out. And I'm like, maybe they're just chatting to someone else, but nope.
I was wondering. Suit size is a little bit silent. I'll just talk a little bit about my build. I after dying a whole lot in the first week or so because of the no logout challenge, I went back to Cold Dot and slowly but surely started progressing, unlocked my watchstones. I'm getting there, and I made some super nice gloves with the +2 AoE gems mod and the socketed gems deal 30% more damage over time. Sadly, I didn't have the dot base, right? So I'm missing the 18% increased damage over time on the implicit for the gloves. But I hit them first try. I sadly got a tier 9 life, like bottom tier life roll, 3 to 9. And I'm so... But I guess it's better than nothing. I'm like, we can still annul them once we get a replacement. And then the other day I picked up item level 84 Sadist Garb in Delve. That was 6 socketed. I was like, I'm going to keep that. And then crafted the 14 quality on. And then I crafted the 28% quality from Hillock. And then I 6-linked it in 229 fuse, which is ridiculous. Like, I haven't had a single chest piece not 6-link in within like 500. I think the first one I tried to link was in 12, and the second one took like 400 or 500, and then now this one 229. Really happy with that. I don't know. If I am, then I don't know. Maybe they secretly switched by client. The most recent one was 42 quality, but the other ones were just...
That's fine.
The Impulsor was 28, that took only a couple hundred, and the Sadist Garb, I think that a 6-linked first was only 20% quality. But that one was also like item level 71 or so. Like I just got into maps and I wanted to just 5-link something. And then I 6-linked it.
Tell you a horror story from a couple leagues ago?
Yep. How many
I
thousand?
wanted to... Huh? No,
How many thousand?
It wasn't the fusings. I was trying to put quality on and I wanted 18%. So I kept clicking, said 16, 17, 16, 17, and then I realized that I was using an X craft and I burnt through like 8x before I noticed.
Oh!
Yeah.
I knew as soon as you said it, you said the number,
I deleted the item and I'm just like, cool, I'm going to play a different build. I just want to cry.
That is extremely painful.
Oh, that hurts to even think about. That's so bad.
Yep.
Oh, no.
Man. But yeah, so basically been doing Cold Dot all the way. I wanted to talk about how great my chess piece turned out, because I hit it with 1 essence for the guaranteed top tier chaos, and I hit a tier 1 lightning resist and a tier 2 fire resist on the suffixes and 2 useless prefixes. So I did the same thing that I did with the gloves. Suffixes cannot be changed. Throw a Veiled Chaos on, and bam, the Veiled Chaos hit 89 life and like 65 mana, and the Veiled Prefix I unveiled in its Ailment Avoidance. And now I have a pretty decent 6-link chest piece with the... not the best life, really, and technically you'd have to still annul the mana so you can craft percentage life, but that's not gonna happen, and pretty much any annul will break the item and make it significantly
Is it working again for me?
Yep.
Yeah!
Yes.
Okay.
You're back.
We can hear you.
That was weird. I don't know what broke. I just changed everything until something happened.
For me, sometimes it's the NDI sources. NDI is this like gateway with which you can send things from one OBS to the other OBS between my streaming and my gaming PC. And sometimes it just from one moment to the other grabs the wrong source, and then it just doesn't work anymore.
Yeah. So, some reason, my voice activity apparently broke, and it wasn't picking up my mic anymore, so I just had to turn that off.
Well, I'm glad we have you back. SlipperyJim, quickly though, you did videos on your YouTube where you re-rolled Gwennen. Do you want to share any insights?
It's good, and if it costs more, then more chance at unique. I don't really... It's very simple things you can... It's the league. Have you been doing it?
Yeah.
You buy stuff, you turn your splinters into stuff. It's fairly basic. I don't know what possible gems I could share with you on the very simple league mechanic vendor lady.
Oh, maybe you should...
Oh, yeah, do the regex thing. You know that regex thing, right? The little
Regex
website
thing?
with the
Yeah.
regex? Yeah.
That's insanely good.
What?
You go to this little website, and you click what uniques you want, and it gives you a little bit code, and you put it in the little filter search thing at the bottom, and it highlights the things.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because
I tried to make a version of that ages ago for map mods. You could just tick reflect and everything you can't do. And I suck at everything that I try to do, and I failed. So I definitely didn't DM the person who made that Gwennen thing and ask if they could do one for map mods, and they did. So there's one for that as well. Although I don't think they've advertised that anywhere, and I don't know if I'm allowed to share it, but I will. Just ask me.
Well, too late now.
Awesome.
Let's do it.
But I found that especially in the Gwennen search window, you're limited to so few characters. You can't really include all the bases that you'd want.
How many bases you trying to get?
I don't know.
You're an
Everything that's
SSF. What do you
good.
need? What do you want?
Everything. I want it all.
Then just buy everything. Just hit the thing and buy the entire thing.
I usually hover over the bases and I can decide whether I want it. Because sometimes I also don't want something because it's a good base for a unique, but because I want that specific base because it's like item level 84 titanium spirit shield, and I'm like, maybe I get this and it will become influenced. Because sometimes she gives you things that are randomly influenced. Sometimes she gives you things that are randomly rolled or.
Yep.
Have you ever gotten anything actually decent?
Yeah, I've gotten. I think I've gotten an eye level. I don't know what it was. I got an Elder Val
Even
Regalia.
garbage is useful in SSF.
Yeah, basically that. No, because I always like to have 1 or 2 tabs where future characters come together, right? And so I had a Val Regalia that happened to roll like 550 plus energy shield and was an Elder base, and then I just put it into my ES stash, where I also have a pair of Sorcerer Gloves with almost 220 ES if divined perfectly, and slowly but surely we're gonna get a CI character together, I guess. Although CI is a lot more scary than it used to be without ailment avoidance, because you don't get the ailment stuff from the Flasks.
Yeah. That's actually gonna be rough. I haven't made a CI character yet. Ugh.
Oh, yeah, I didn't think about that.
Ugh. Like, I'm getting by okay on life builds, even without. I'm just not getting ailment immune mostly.
Yeah, and I'll just have the Flasks that go off on the.
I'll get some, like, I'll get like some like 50% reduction to duration, and I'll just like have an anti-freeze flask.
I've personally just been trying to get Rin boots. Just cannot be frozen boots, and that's it.
Oh yeah,
That
I guess
works as
technically
well.
our league started as something that was CI, but that was different because the character was immune to everything, so it didn't count.
Did we all have a day where we just wanted to quit the league? Did you hit a wall and you just wanted out? No,
No.
Just me? No, okay, nothing.
No, I only have that in the Royale.
Oh, because you suck.
You can do Royale still? That must be nice.
It's completely impossible down there.
It doesn't. We don't have a gateway anymore.
What?
They don't have any gateway. They put us in Texas.
What?
Why? Wait, why?
I don't know, but we're just in Texas. When they merged all the servers, Australia went to Texas. If you want to play, it's like a 180 ping. You can't do it.
Have you tried the Auckland server?
Yeah, it doesn't exist. It goes to Texas.
Yeah. You don't get games on the server that you're logged in, but it automatically pulls you to one of the other gateways.
Like, instead of putting us and New Zealand and Singapore together on one server, which is what I thought was going to happen,
they put you all to Texas.
They just we all go to Texas. Okay. So I guess I just don't play Battle Royale at all.
Like, as a person who's in Texas playing on the Texas server doesn't work.
Oh, good.
All right, so it's like
that's going to be even worse from here. But yeah, so yeah, that's how it is. We just don't get to play.
That's unfortunate. I mean, it could be unfortunate. Honestly, I've been having a worse and worse time in the Royale. As people progressively got better, I just progressively realized that I suck at that game mode, and that it's too RNG for me. I know it's kind of a pussy move out to blame RNG and to be like, but honestly, if you guys don't mind, we can quickly talk about it real quick.
Go ahead. Oh, I'm even worse than you. I haven't played it, and I will never play it because I know I'm shit, and I don't need that reinforced by other people.
Similar boat. I don't play because I'm not a competitive person, and like the BR curse of did I have a good start? Is it better than anyone else's?
At least in like other BR games, you could just like run around with a pen and ruin people's games. I don't know if you can necessarily do that in PoE. There's no troll skill, right?
You get a movement skill, then
unless you're gonna play like Lighty in that like event they did and just hide behind a rock and somehow secure like 10th place or something.
Just hide. It's fine. But nah. I was enjoying it, but now that I can't actually play it, whatever. I just forget that mode exists, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, it's just I feel like I'm not getting anything done. Although the other week I did get a win, but that was off stream. But I other than that, I had a win on the first weekend, and whenever I play it on stream, it just becomes a shit fest of me like starting and not getting. Well, I start Molten Strike, then I don't get weapon upgrades, and then I die to monsters or something else, and then next round I'll get a +1 fire wand and a +1 or a +1 fire dagger or a +1 fire scepter, and I'm like, yes, let's do some rolling magma or something. I open 3 boxes, I get Viper Strike, Cobra Lash, Heavy Strike, and Cleave, or something like that, and then I'm like, yeah, great. He just it just feels so bad that I never get the things coming together nicely. But again, I feel other people have really good success rates at it, so it's kind of a cheap way out to blame RNG. You gotta make it work with what you get, I suppose. But also the fact that movement skills are just so OP, and you can't really disengage someone when they have a movement skill and you don't have one, feels rather bad, because the whole game is sort of a decision-making game where you have to pick your fights. Because a lot of times when you get to the PvP part of things, it's not really an evenly matched PvP setup, but it's actually either you should know from the start, is this someone I can beat in terms of level and gear, or is this someone I should run away from? But if they have a movement skill and you don't have one, that's not a choice you can make.
You sound like a gazelle in Africa running away from a cheetah. It's just not fair.
That's pretty much how I feel all the time. Yeah.
Sucks to suck. I mean, good on you for playing it.
I try. I'll give it some shots. But I guess you guys don't have too many thoughts on the Royale then, if you don't play it.
Now we're babies.
I got nothing. Props to them for adding it at least and trying to keep up with it. Unfortunate
was very,
about the server
very fun.
situation though.
I will play it again if I ever get an Australian server back. I had a lot of fun.
It definitely keeps you occupied for a couple of hours, and it can be fun to focus on the positives. I just realized we're already quite some time into the podcast. Should we talk a little bit? We run?
Go ahead. Speed run. Go.
We've done a successful introduction and small talk round. Should we talk a little bit about the podcast? Chris Wilson was on the Baeclast episode just a couple of days ago. Did you guys watch it?
Watched it twice because I had to take notes the second time.
Oh yeah, same. First one was too rough to take notes because I couldn't pause it during the live broadcast.
Yeah.
Can I share my meme? Oh, I gotta go find it. 1 second.
Absolutely. We're a meme-friendly stream.
Towards the end of the podcast as well, I had just gotten vaccinated and I started like feeling something start like building up inside me. It's like, oh, this feels weird. I was kind of out of it, and then the next day I was like full blown like fever and headache. I'm like,
ouch.
Well, I guess I can't watch the podcast yet. So I give that like another day before I actually had to take notes on it.
But you do feel better now, I hope.
Yeah, it seems everything has subsided. I'll let you know what happens if I sneeze and if I fall over again.
There you go. That's my meme. Anyway, that's a... Yep. No, it was good. Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked the part where he like read out everything that was like in a behind the scenes document, not at all ever guaranteed to go into the game, and then everyone took it for gospel. Looking forward to that shit show eventually.
Oh, that'll be hilarious. He did several times explain that like this was not set.
Yeah, but no one will remember that.
We won't remember that part. Okay,
It's tiny Bella.
real quick. Has everyone seen the rap?
The rap?
Yeah.
Oh, the edited
It's the
thing.
music, the song someone
It
made.
was
Yeah.
so good.
It's pretty good.
That was gold. That was hilarious. For like a 1-day job too. Like he had like it was like a 1-day turnaround, and then here's a rap, and it was hilarious. I just had to make sure everyone had heard that. If you haven't, I will link it just in case for later.
Yeah, we had it in the chat earlier, but I can't go back that far. So if you could link it again for our friends in chat. But yeah, well, let's start with Chris goes on the podcast and says that it's a kind of emergency podcast situation. Do you guys perceive the current situation as emergency? Is there enough reason to believe there's an emergency?
It's just if you think the Reddit matters, it's just a subreddit full of crazy people screaming, and that's an emergency in their eyes. I don't think they give a shit.
For me, I feel like it's hard to ignore the 30% revenue loss.
Yeah. Like, I think they're saying Reddit, but it's not like if Reddit was really upset, but their numbers were up, they wouldn't be upset.
Yeah.
Whereas the Reddit response is actually reflected in the player numbers and their revenue. So emergency seems fair.
A tough way for them to act, because if they if they did a press release or whatever immediately, then they'd seem like Reddit get their way. Whereas if they took their time and then went on a podcast, I think they handled it quite well.
Yeah, that's fair. It's just obviously coming from Chris admitting that it is a sort of emergency situation. Just really puts things into perspective for me, because before that I wasn't really so sure. Sure, we had a lot of people pointing out that numbers weren't looking great on Steam, but then Steam numbers are only to a certain extent representative of the entire community, the same way that the Reddit drama is only representative of the community to a certain extent. I wouldn't dare to extrapolate that to the entire player population. And I felt that a lot of people were actually having good fun in the league.
A lot of people still are.
Yep. Yeah, I think.
And
how many dramas have you witnessed?
Before? Too many.
Like, how many Chris Wilson has ruined the game dramas have you witnessed? And then he does like a single thing, and everyone goes, "Oh my god, he loves his game. He's never going to burn it to the ground." It's like constant, just like this.
It's like every second league.
Yeah,
nowadays for sure.
Fine. If you think everything's going to hell, it either will or it won't, and it probably won't, because Chris likes the game and probably money. I mean, I'm not saying he's doing it for money. He's doing it because he wants to make the game that he wants to make, which is fine. It'll be fine. If you really want to use like some catastrophe as a reason to stop playing a game you're addicted to, do it. It's fine. The game will be fine. You can come back later. Doesn't matter. Why all that angriness? Makes no sense.
Yeah, and that's really the way that I've been looking at it, is like that a lot of the people who have been outraging are just victims of having played the game maybe a little bit too much in the last year or so. Not only seeing that Path of Exile is a very addictive game, and a lot of people do play a lot more than they should, especially people who are not, content creators necessarily, but people who just really play it for their enjoyment and use it as a sort of escape from their real life, and as a way to not deal with things that they should be dealing with. That's one factor, right? And then on top of that, we've been having this global situation with the stuff that we've all been engaged about, that you're not supposed to talk on YouTube if you're the stuff that's supposed to get us all vaccinated. Or that we all get vaccinated for?
Oh, you care about monetization, right? No, okay.
I just heard terrible things that happen to the algorithm of people who say the P word in there, or even the C word.
What's the P word?
Really?
I'm gonna need someone to DM that to me. I have no idea what you're talking about.
The word global usually goes before it.
Oh, right. You want me to demonetize this video then?
You actual special person.
I thought you meant penis. I was so confused. I was like, that's not a bad word.
You're definitely allowed to say penis.
Yeah, okay. I don't think that hurts you that much.
It doesn't at all.
Demonetized for way worse stuff. That's nothing. What the hell? global penis.
Well,
That's a
anyway,
real
but we've all
problem.
been locked inside for more than we want to, and slowly things, at least in some countries, are opening up again, despite numbers being, questionable at best. But what I'm trying to say is, especially during this last year, we've all been stuck inside more than we probably like, and any reason to get away from the PC and do something else is a welcome reason. So I think a lot of people are more happy and willing to jump to the conclusion that PoE is a dying ship that they need to abandon than they would normally be. And that's the feeling that I had going into the whole podcast thing. But then with Chris admitting that they lost a significant part of their revenue and that people are really very upset, that put things into perspective for me and made me listen with more open ears to some of the feedback.
It was certainly a little hard for me because before the podcast, it was hard because I personally enjoy the game this league far more than any league we've had in the past 2 years. Like the difficulty getting ramped up like that and tools getting taken away from us was like a sweet breath of air to someone who's been suffocating. It is fantastic. And so it's very hard. It's very hard for me to like get in the mind frame of people who don't enjoy that, because it's like the game suddenly got way better and everyone's like, I hate this. And so that was really hard to sort of get. And I guess I get it a lot more now that the podcast is over. Like I understand more where other people are coming from, but I mean, I still personally like it this way more, but
yeah, I was going to say that there's some people in my Discord who are very, very angry at the game ever since Harvest went away, and I never understood that. But now that Chris talked about hard mode for 7 years or something, and I've never experienced something I've wanted to play so much in my entire life, having him described it, I understand how those Harvest players feel now, I guess. I just want it. Just give me hard mode. Just give me hard mode. No, just quit. Just quit everything. Stop streaming. Play hard mode. Hey, you want to play hard mode, Tyler?
I will be playing hard mode for sure. Not on league starts and whatnot, because I wouldn't give up my trade league start. That's something. But I'd definitely give it a go for sure. I'll probably be playing it most leagues when it comes out, just towards the end of the league.
Is lab different in SSF compared to not SSF?
What do you mean it's different?
Is it a different layout?
No, you always have the same lab layout in all leagues.
I want there to be a different lab, or just delete lab in hard mode. Or make a different one so SuitSize has to play hard mode lab every day as well.
You just want SuitSize to have another lab to run on the daily reset. That would not be very... I mean,
what if I told you that SuitSize's mic is not working again?
Oh no.
This is great. I mean, it's not terrible.
Animate all of your thoughts with your...
Hold on. That's the webcam microphone. Let me switch back to see if it works.
Oh.
It doesn't.
Nope.
No.
Really?
Yep.
What was that?
We heard really.
Webcam microphone podcast, it is then.
Maybe it's just your sensitivity settings or something. Might have to go push to talk. Because we're getting like bits every now and then.
Yeah. But no, a really important thing about the hard mode is that I think Chris brought that up for a reason, and the reason is obviously to make sure that at the moment they're trying to catering to too big a population of players. They cast a really wide net and they started alienating the hardcore ARPG audience, or at the very core, and they were trying to go back a little bit with the changes and combat power creep, but a lot of the people who enjoyed a more zoomy Path of Exile, a more challenge-free Path of Exile that you can mindlessly outmaps and run through and explode screens and pick up loot, have been not so happy about changes, about the direction of changes currently. So by saying that the hard mode is going to be a thing, Chris can assure the players that there will be a place for them if they enjoy a more challenging version of PoE, while at the same time making sure that the casual crowd who doesn't want additional challenge in the game, who actually wants the game to return to how it was in one of the previous patches, that they are not going to get impacted that heavily in the future by wanting to cater to sort of both ends
How
of
would
the
you
spectrum.
feel if they took the Chinese version and put it out here and called it baby mode? So then you've got middle ground, and then you've got super easy with loot pets and an auction house, and then you've got hard mode. And you can just pick your poison. You can call them normal, and then
Splitting
cruel can be the
people
one we
more is
currently have,
horrible.
and then merciless. What?
That's a
Quick
good
Splitting
point,
people
Balor. That
more is
was
horrible.
Oh, I heard something. What?
Quick microphone check. Everything good?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
you're here.
My voice activity is turned off, but I don't know.
Just don't stop talking.
Well, that's gonna be hard.
So
Nope, I was-
with
Sorry,
all
go.
the troubles, I'm just gonna throw it back to you, but like just to put it into context, where do you stand on the current difficulty of Path of Exile? Are you enjoying being slowed down a little bit, having more meaningful decisions early on in the game, and struggling more at the top end to get the builds to the point where you have good defense or offense, or are you mourning some of the power loss from the previous leagues?
I'm currently in mixed bag right now because I am in my league start was rough because my previous lab runner doesn't work anymore. So that always doesn't feel good. But when I did get a different lab runner and it's working totally fine, it's like, okay, this is still fine. But in terms of the difficulty, I enjoy. I'm still having fun with the game, but my concern that I had with them slowing down the pace of the game kind of came in fruition where I'm fine if they want us to take more time to kill harder things, but you need to make sure if something's going to one-tap us that we can actually deal with that.
Well, that we can even see it.
Yes, that is the problem that I have, is that yes, you want time increasing our time to kill something is fine, but you also have to increase the time it takes for them to kill us. Because if you want us to take a long time to fight this rare, but in any point of that long fight, the rare can in a fraction of a second just one tap you. That's not okay. I really don't like that.
I'm on board with that.
But
Yeah,
does that happen because you're doing 100% delirious maps, or you've opened every single type of runic thing? Or I don't think I've done a normal rare map that isn't, triple added damage that I had a rare that encountered, that would one-shot me. I mean, apart from my glass cannon build that falls over and everything, but
I had a
Is it
moment
just-
where I fought one of those big crabs in Harvest. It was the only rare, but because it had sub fizz, it just one tapped me with an auto attack.
Yep. Those runic archers, even if they have no mobs on them, if you're in a mob map with just like a single damage mod, they can one tap like an 8k health thing.
They can off screen you. I learned
Yeah,
that.
and they can do it from so far away you literally
Like,
don't even know they exist.
And,
You're like, wait, what?
Oh my god. I actually have here written in my notes where it's that whole discussion of it's not okay for a player to off-screen a mob because that's not engaging gameplay, and yet the mob does that to us.
I was just
Yep.
going to bring that up. They're not trying to make the game come down to like a 30-second boss fight, and they're not trying to push it back all the way to what PoE used to be like. They are just doing exactly what you said of they don't want you to off-screen stuff. But the fact that shit off-screens you is, yes, they should fix that. Get rid of that crap.
It's just I'm okay if they don't want us off-screen stuff. I'm okay if they want us to slow us down, but you have to slow down with us then.
Yeah.
You got to do something about the mob's reaction time, damage spikes.
Yeah, I'm kind of divided on that because I see that sentiment expressed a lot by people where they're like, well, you just took away like so much from our damage. Why are you not making monsters easier, or why are you not making equipment easier to accomplish? And on the one hand, I'm like, well, I mean, the idea of nerfing something is that there's a different balance state. Otherwise, if the players just get the power back in forms of monster nerfs or in forms of buffs through item acquisition, then obviously there's no point in nerfing the players. But on the other hand, is like when you expect the player to have engaging combat with the monster, then you also have to sort of make the monster approach the player with like something that he can counterplay.
I want to be able to engage the monster. I don't want to walk up, start hitting things like 50 times, and then it just turns around and backhands me into oblivion. It's like, no, okay, well,
Not to assume, but you probably got one shot by a rare in a harvest in a high tier map, right? Compared to
it
a
was
low
a tier
tier map.
15.
Your build needs to be like farming T7s like me or T3s even. That's where
Yeah,
that's where
harvest
your
is
defenses
rough.
are at. You got to get like billions of mitigation to T16s. That's what Chris can't even get to T16s. That's why it's all scaled like that. That's serious ethical gameplay right there.
I think tier 16s are not the problem, but like harvest and tier 16s, that's a different story. Those harvest
all stacks
monsters
on top of
are
itself.
Yeah.
That's the whole
are
point.
rough.
Like,
That's the whole like.
I don't think there was a damage mod on the map. It was just that one rare by itself had sub phase. I'm like, oh, I didn't think that. Oh, attack was gonna kill me, but it did.
That's the whole point.
It feels like patch release Baron mobs, where it's like the spectral or the projectile attack was hitting like it was at the time the Aurabot Guardians who had like 20k ES would get hit for 11k, and it's like, wait, that's a white mob.
Yeah,
Well.
and that's an Aurabot getting destroyed. It's just, I don't know. Overall, I'm still super happy with the balance, but I do want one shots to stop, especially just one shots from off screen. It's actually even mostly the off screen stuff. I don't mind if something can one shot me, as long as I can see it and I have a chance to attempt to dodge that thing.
It's the difference between an Azaro two-handed slam one-shotting you and him just bopping you.
Yeah, like if I can see the thing attacking me, and it's got a wind-up animation, and I don't dodge it, that's fine. If it kills me, it's fine. Like, too bad. Should have seen it. Should have played better. But when it shoots you from off screen, that's where I'm like, please no.
To be fair though, I feel like historically over the course of the last couple of years, they've been cracking down on the things that can one shot you a lot. I mean, there's not that many anymore in the game as there used to be with back in the day when you had a rare reflect, for example, right? The reflect aura, and you just, as a bow character, you just off-screen yourself like 2 screens away. Now, of course, there's still the spear guys from Legion that technically can off-screen you a little bit, and some things here and there, but on the whole, I feel like most people who come to me and complain about one-shots, especially when I actually get to see a clip, I don't really feel like people getting traditionally one-shot a lot. A lot of the times it's just people making bad calls and getting bursted down. But I don't know. I've not seen like a legit one-shot that was not deserved in a long time, personally. Although they probably still exist.
If they're playing hardcore, they deserve it.
It's just that there's something just not satisfying about you're just like doing an expedition, everything's fine, and then you blink and then your character's falling over and it's like, what just happened?
Yeah. No, I mean, you should always I agree. You should always have a clear idea of what you could have done better in that situation. What you could have done in order to
Death log, please.
I'm not sure that will solve a lot of problems, but I mean, in a perfect world with a perfect implementation, it would be great to have one. But I don't think it's worth the extreme amount of resources that a feature like that would take, both on the implementation and on the performance side. It would have to be very well implemented, which would make it very hard to implement, or the other way around, it would be a big toll on.
That's just what they tell us, though.
True. I mean,
could just give
it is reasonable.
PGG shit UI version, and it'd be better than nothing.
It's reasonable to assume that keeping track of like thousands of damage stats over minutes, potentially. Well, not minutes, but like almost a minute.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, if you've got a dot on you and you got hit by a really big hit, and then the dot is all the little tiny dot hits are just like your entire thing, and the death log, the thing that actually killed you, is off the screen. Yeah, I could see that being bad, problem, not good, no work, hard to code, etc. You know what we need is more loot boxes. That's what the dev time should be on.
The two things that I took away from that was they could have talked about loot boxes less, and they could have talked about hard mode less. As much as I was excited to hear about hard mode, sweet Jesus, did he mention that a lot?
Honestly, I thought
didn't need to.
I thought hard mode had a place to be in there because, like I said earlier, hard mode reassures the casual crowd that there doesn't need to be that many changes to cater to the true to the core hardcore ARPG audience. That if they want to slow the game down, or if there's people who enjoy a slower version of the game, that they have a place to be in rather than the main game.
It's almost like hard mode is the only thing he knew for certain, because he was reading from that devlog where anything in there could come or could not come at all, but he knew for a fact that they're not going to slow the main game down because that's going to be hard mode, so he just kept tangenting to it because it's the only thing he seemed to actually know for sure.
It was
he is
more like
personally
he was
working on it.
Yeah. It was like his little baby project.
He's abandoning PoE. He's going to hard mode now. New game plus. Oh, it's going to be sweet.
It's good that he was excited about it, but it was just the incorrect time to go on about it that much, I think. But otherwise, I mean, it was mostly great.
What's your favorite league, Bella? Out of all the leagues so far?
All the leagues in the last... Oh, okay.
Like, I really liked Bestiary because of like the specific target farming, and any chance I get, I'll bring up Bestiary because I really liked it. That's Chris during that podcast. He really likes hard mode. He doesn't give a shit what questions you ask him. He wants to talk about the thing he's been playing for the last month or 3 months, which is hard mode, and it's going to be great, and it's coming out next patch, apparently, hard mode. Hard mode loot boxes? Oh, that'll be good. But I'm not going to tangent it. You do a thing, and then I'll segue. Go ahead.
Like, my entire life exists around... It's like, my existence is entirely here to remind players that lab exists.
That's fine. That's good. At least you know what you want to do. And you're good at it, and you keep doing it.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious, what is your favorite?
I'll keep doing it until it gets removed.
What's your favorite past league?
My favorite league?
Yeah, because SlipperyJim just asked that question. I thought it would be fun to have an answer from everyone.
It's Labyrinth.
Well,
Lab is not a league.
Lab is not. Unfortunately for players, Lab is not a league. Because you have to do it while you're doing the axe. It's a toss up. I did really enjoy Breach, but I am also one of those Harvest players because Harvest was the league that got me to craft. Up until Harvest, I had always bought my items, and after Harvest, I bought my items. But that little period in Harvest, I was actually making stuff. So I have to give Harvest that. What
do you think the thing is that they barely talked about, where they're like, yeah, we're going to bring back deterministic crafting, but not as strong as Harvest? How? And give me it. Anyway.
I get that they don't want deterministic crafting. Well, I feel like I should phrase. I guess state my position of, I really enjoyed Harvest, but I absolutely understand why I got removed, and I was not upset that I got removed. I miss it, but I get why they took it away, because I was sitting there with a explode, flat crit, tri-res, tier 1 life, body armor. I was like, yeah, I see why they don't want this around. But I get the issue. This might get me roasted, but the reason I enjoyed Harvest so much is because every other crafting part of the game is not crafting to me. Every other part of the game is just rolling the dice. It doesn't feel like I'm making my way towards a good item. It feels like I'm just throwing it out to see what happens until I get something.
That depends really on what kind of item. It depends on what kind of item you're crafting. I mean, there are still things that you can more or less do deterministically.
It's interesting because I craft items every league before Harvest, every league since Harvest. I still craft. I know I can deterministically get exactly what I need on an item. I know
every
I'll
item.
make a profit. I know I'll probably make a profit while doing it. And I do know also that Harvest was my least favorite league that's ever existed because it wasn't crafting. It was literally just importing a piece of gear that I created in Path of Building. There was
what even is crafting? Have you ever played Minecraft? You just put it in a little thing and it comes out the same every time. You're going to say that enchanting is crafting? Because that's what PoE has apparently. Not lab enchanting, but like Minecraft enchanting. Put thing, press button.
I will openly admit, because I didn't craft before Harvest, I'm probably very much not really knowledgeable in most aspects of crafting. The closest thing I've done to like proper crafting is making my Holy Relic weapon, where it was an alt spam regal, remove mods, multi mod. That's about as far it gets for me because I've never really invested into. The only time I invested into actually like I guess like Maven Orbing, Double Influence, Awakened Orbing was during Harvest and a little bit after, but I've slowly fallen off that because it just the I guess I mean there's so many reasons why I promise the crafting. It just I don't know where to start. I
Crafting
don't know where
before
to start.
harvest.
But
is
I
a
guess I
checklist.
just admitting the fact that I'm probably not knowledgeable in the finer aspects of actually like crafting really, really good but specific items. There's just overall problems I have with, I guess, starting the process of how much currency am I going to need? How many times am I going to have to start over? Is also something I always think about and I hate.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but you are familiar with the +3 bows, which you could make fairly deterministically before harvest, for example, and the +3 fire staff and that sort of stuff. Because that was like deterministic crafting that wasn't
Yeah.
Path of Exile before harvest. And that sort of crafting is still in the game also without harvest. I mean, what I talked about a little bit in the beginning is the pair of gloves that I made for my character, which I'm sure you all know that you can get socketed gems deal 30% more damage over time with an essence of, I think it's delirium on the gloves. And so I just put that on the gloves, and I had a free prefix, and the mod itself is a suffix, and I had a good resist with it. So then you can do meta mod, suffixes cannot be changed. And I used a Veiled Chaos Orb because those happen to respect meta mods, and so they wouldn't re-roll the 2 prefixes that I locked, the 2 suffixes, but it could have rolled a new suffix, but I was lucky and I got a Veiled prefix and I got the tier 9 life mod, which was shit because it blocked any better life mod that I could have crafted, but it allowed me to guarantee a Veiled mod together with the socketed gems deal 30% more damage over time. And that one, I think, is fairly deterministic. I mean, it's not guaranteed that you get the exact Veiled prefix that you want, but even if you fail that, you could still craft the +1 AoE gems from the bench instead of having the +2, which is the unveiled version of the same craft. Or you could, suffix lock again and try that again.
If you were new to the game and there's no wiki and there's no content creators and there's no videos and there's nothing, would you call the crafting in the game crafting? Would you like not knowing anything about how anything works, not knowing how any of the hold down alt thing works? Is it crafting in your eyes or is it RNG bullshit gambling?
Yeah, that's basically the point I'm trying to make, is that if you don't know your way around the different options that you have, then it can feel like it's a giant black box of gambling. But if you know your way around, then you see that there's a lot of deterministic things going on. And the job that Harvest did well is that it laid out for the average player who does not have an in-depth understanding of the different crafting mechanics in Path of Exile and how they potentially can interact. It laid out a path to good items for them, where they were like, okay, I understand, I need this, this, and this, and I use it in a sequence, and then I'll have my good item. Whereas for the average item in Path of Exile that you could still deterministically craft without Harvest, that laid out path doesn't exist. That laid out path is much, much harder to figure out for someone who doesn't engage with the community, with the wiki, and with content creators.
So here's the thing, though. If you don't engage with doing any research at all about how to craft really good items, then you don't deserve them, and you weren't trying to get them to begin with.
Is using fossils crafting?
I mean, it's usually the start of crafting. Like if you're doing fossils or something, you'll do that to get like the base suffixes or the base prefixes you're after, and then now what we do is we either fossil or essence or something to start with, and then there's some harvest crafting involved, and then maybe there's veiled, maybe there's ashling, maybe there's like, we're using all the systems now. We're consistently using all the systems.
Before we segue, I do agree with what both Baylor and Catmaster are saying, because that is the perspective where I'm approaching, where I just don't, Harvest was a nice, like, oh, I see what I'm supposed to do. I can figure this out on my own. But outside of that, I am admittedly in that area of what the hell do I do with these 2 veiled orbs I have? I didn't actually know that veiled orbs respected cannot change prefixes or suffix mods. I just didn't know that. So I 100% agree with you guys where on that front of there is a significant amount of knowledge that you need, and without it, it just looks like this mountain of what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
I don't know how to change that, or I don't really know what the current way around that would be. So
There's a lot of misinformation as well from people who think that having an advantage over other people is fun, or like they take trading and gaining currency as the PvP that they can't do because they're shit at PvP, and then they like spread misinformation and downvote things of like, here's a new crafting recipe on Reddit. They'll downvote it because like, oh, I have an advantage now because I'm a.
It also
oh man,
strongly changed people's expectations of what a good item is. Like people are now expecting, you know, three like influence rolls on a single item. And they're like, oh, that's only okay because it doesn't have an 80 life roll to go with it. And like, that's disgusting. Like the idea of a good item is like 1 influence roll and like 2 res rolls and a life roll. And now that's a really good item. Like, but people are expecting like disgustingly good items just to be handed to them. It doesn't make any sense.
My shitty segue was going to be that fossil crafting is like buying an outfit off eBay, and then crafting something with like normal methods is like making your own cosplay. That's my shitty segue. Because there you go. You know, see, that's the analogy is you know how to make cosplay stuff, and Balor knows how to craft. That's the same thing, just different mediums. And I don't know how to do either.
That's a good point.
At everything I do.
Yeah.
I mean, if I look at SuitSizeSmall's cosplays, I'm also like, okay, I'm a no-bit crafter.
How do you
I don't even. You know, how do you break down that goal into little achievable
put
things?
the quality on it. Slam it a couple of times. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm actually that's actually kind of a good analogy. I'm actually kind of trying to make a comparison between the two in my mind about how to get started. I guess a problem for me whenever I get start with the costumes, I kind of break down what I'm looking at. But you can't really do it with an item, can you? It's like this item has this stuff on it. How do I get that stuff? It's like, well, that's an influence mod. That's fine. Those are res as well. Those reses are going to be completely random. That's a life roll. What type of life roll is that? Is that a hybrid life roll? Is it a regular? Yeah, I guess. There's a bit.
Break it down, RNG. I'm sure you have natural fuck-ups while cosplaying stuff, and you're just like, oh, that's a feature now. Yeah, it's battle worn. I didn't slip a coffee on.
Oh yeah, whenever I went to ExileCon, the Alva hat got fucked up, so I was like, well, let's kind of roll with that.
We have literally the perfect example of what I was just talking about. From chat there's a really disgustingly good helmet, like really good, like 1 mod off being perfect, and the person's like, but now I just have to randomly throw currency at it, and it's random because I can't get this one last mod on an item that already has 5 really good mods. But no, we're after 6, otherwise it's a garbage helmet. But that's not that thought process only exists because Harvest did. It shouldn't. Yeah. That's already disgustingly good.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. That's kind of why I remember. That's why I said I get why Harvest shouldn't exist, because I have that really dumb body armor that I made during Harvest.
Yeah, people just want to input items that they would build in Path of Building to the game, but that's if you want to do that, you still can. Yeah. By the way, you can still make all those disgusting items. Like you can still make double elevated quad influenced movement speed cannot be frozen boots. It's just going to cost you like 70 or 80x to even craft them, but they can be reliably made. If I have the money sitting there, I could just print 10 pairs of them today. Like you can still do all of that stuff deterministically.
Outside of Harvest, or do you rely on TFT crafts being offered?
You use Harvest.
Okay.
The biggest issue is I wish I could save all of my crafts. I don't see why there should be a reason for a 10 limit. That's my biggest issue with the new Harvest. If you're going to nerf it the way 15. It is, I think it's great now. but you should absolutely be able to save all of them so that a casual, because I'll just buy everything I need off TFT on one day, but a casual should be able to save them for the week or two that they're playing and then be like, look at all these crafts. I could now make something with that.
I didn't get the need
Disagree.
to make things rare, but also suddenly you can't store them. Like, they're already rarer.
Yeah. If you just let people store them, more casual people would also be able to use it. The
True, but
biggest
then
downfall
it would
of the
open
new
it up
one
to
is
abuse.
that.
Even more abuse, I should say.
But no, because the people who know what to do and abuse it are using TFT, and we abuse it anyway.
Yeah, but like the
So
limit
it would
is
just
to
let-
slow those fuckers down.
So it would just
Would
let
it-
everybody
made it
else do
infinite.
that as well.
It'd just be like Harvest all over again, but like that old Harvest.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that it didn't get like the bop of like, let's just kill everything that's good. I mean, it kind of did, but not really. Like,
I've seen the sentiment expressed by many people recently that they don't think that Harvest actually should be in the game anymore because it just, you don't get augments, you don't get remove add, you don't get annuls, and it just is a lot of frustration to fight these super strong monsters, which honestly are some of the more dangerous monsters in the game right now, especially with the aura stacking and the fact that they are in your map, so they benefit from all the map mods, and they're just really, really dangerous monster base types. So I personally don't think it would hurt if they made the rate at which like augments and annuls and stuff like that spawn a little bit higher, because I honestly haven't seen any of them. At least no, I don't think so. And then there's also the example that's always quoted where Titan Killer went to level 100 and did several other leveling projects, always doing all harvests and never seeing a single augment. So yeah, they're just incredibly rare. And what I think is, but the thing is, why they're so rare is because
but he's just on like the really low end of the spectrum. Like,
possibly,
I was farming, like,
but if you do so
fucking
much,
Legion Zone with no harvest, and I've already seen 2.
2 augments.
Yeah,
What did you see?
fire and just generic slam, bitch.
Wow.
I wasted slam 1 on gem, and I sold the fire 1 in TFT, baby, because that's what scumbags do. And then they
How much do
buy
you get
their
for that?
shit. I tried to sell it for 8, but I got 7 for it.
Damn. But yeah, what I'm trying to say is, like, on the one hand, the harvest craft is the power, right? But what a lot of people miss something about harvest, and it's not necessarily the raw power being handed out through harvest crafts generously from the harvest mechanic, but it's what we talked earlier. It's about the clear path that is communicated to you towards a better item. And I think that they could either make it so that harvest gives you that clear path more often and gives you more augments, but then makes them have a cost, which I think we talked about that on the podcast a lot. Make the Exalt harvests cost an actual Exalt when you use it. So the only power that you get from the harvest would be that you make an Exalt specific for a specific mod type, but you wouldn't get a whole Exalt's worth handed out. And that would allow them to give us more of them on the one hand. And then on the other hand, it would be great if we had more in-game resources that break down abstract item crafting processes, which that's the harder thing to implement. I don't even know how I would start on that. But if more people had an understanding of how the different crafts work, maybe have like a crafting simulator in the game or something that would allow you to theory craft your approach to making a good item. I think that would go a long way to getting people involved into crafting. Because a lot of people who got into...
First thing. Go ahead, sir. I disagree on the whole, like, spending X
please
to
go.
craft.
Disagree.
Well, it's just going to be the same thing that Harvest was. It's just going to be like the Monopoly people are just going to be like, well, I guess I'm going to have to spend 6x instead of 7x because I'm going to spend that extra X. They're going to get their amazingly broken thing. Was it Balor who recommended that Harvest be only go up to like T3 or T2 instead, and so you can't make the best gear with Harvest, but you can make good enough
that
gear?
was one of my ideas.
All of the issues. I've thought about it for ages since you mentioned it. That would fix everything. Buff the. Go ahead, sorry, but yeah.
I actually wouldn't mind that. I'd be okay if Harvest let me get a good item, but not a perfect item.
Yeah.
But that was one of my two. That was my second favorite of my ideas.
Well,
when
your
they
other
were
one's
talking
shit.
about harvest
Sorry,
fixing.
go ahead. Go do your first one.
My other one about harvest fixing was that everything could remain how it was, but any specific targeting things would give that item a harvest tag, and I would only be able to play with that one mod in a specific thing. So I could reroll a whole item, but if I start add removing fire, that add remove fire is now the only thing I can touch on that item. So I can't go add remove fire until it's perfect, and then add remove cold until I get -9, and then add remove this until I get that, and then just print something perfect. Instead,
basically-
I can get a
Problem
pretty
with
good
that-
item.
Yeah, so
and then
it'd be
fix
like a
one mod.
it'd be a modified version of a fractured mod, essentially.
The problem
Yeah,
with that is the whole problem of new players not knowing how to craft. You're going to need already decently all the previous steps of crafting up to the point where someone goes, it's got 5 T1s and it's missing one good thing. I'm going to harvest craft it. You still like the shit, like harvest only going up to T2 or 3 helps all the new players get into the game and figure out how crafting works and figuring out how the mods works and all that stuff. It's like the tutorial level shit.
So in that idea, you'd still be able to do all of your reforge, reroll all prefixes, reroll with this, reroll with that. All of those would still work, right?
Or just do both.
All of
Just
those
do
would still exist.
pre-maps is up to T4 or whatever, and then when you're in maps, just do the one mod thing.
More and more thing. This is
Anyway,
very much
yeah,
a
go ahead.
Path of Exile, I feel like, theme where I guess in like a regular crafting system, you'd start with this much information, and as you progress up the tiers, it would start ballooning out into more information and more methods. Where Path of Exile does the opposite thing, where it starts out with this much information, but you need to get here to actually be able to make an item.
Maybe expansion shouldn't fix base game crafting. Maybe we should just wait to see what GGG are spending like literal hundreds of man hours fixing with their new thing that'll come in a year's time. And then we can shit talk their ideas.
And then we could shit talk whatever that new thing is.
Oh god! Oh gosh!
Add me alpha testing, Chris. Gimme, I won't leak, I promise.
Don't trust him.
So real quick, you've mentioned it now, and this has got me. This is the one thing in the entire podcast that made me lose my mind.
Okay.
They have random alpha testers with no NDAs. What? What?
I feel like they probably do have an NDA, but they don't have any of that sort of pixel tracking bullshit, so they don't know who's doing it.
No, they said
have
they're not
NDAs.
under NDAs.
Are you sure?
Yes, on the podcast.
I don't know if I should admit to it. I know a person who knows a person who works at Blizzard, RIP, who knows a person who works at GGG, and I sent an email through them to not act like me and asked a question, and they gave a very NDA response. It was to do with phishing. They don't tell anything about phishing, man. I'm pretty sure there's a phishing NDA. Maybe there isn't. They're like fuck alpha testing, no NDA on that. Phishing though, that shit. There's no leaks in that boat.
I can't get my head around why you would not have an NDA. It doesn't. It just seems so wrong to me.
I don't remember that specific part actually.
I didn't remember
I
anything.
kind of remember it where Chris mentioned they don't want to have to actually have their alpha testers sign a contract and whatnot.
Yeah.
All right. No,
Which
I only remember that they said
that-
that the leaking is an actual problem that happens, which is why they usually only get things out to the alpha testers like 1 week beforehand.
I do feel like if there's no NDA, then they should actually have like a contractual NDA because that's an alpha test.
Isn't it more that wouldn't it be like they don't want to have them in a contract so they don't have to technically have them as like an employee kind of thing, whereas you can just put anyone under an NDA and it's not technically, it's probably more to like keep it so they can have their alpha testers be overseas compared to New Zealand based, wouldn't it be? I know nothing about how jobs work. Yeah.
I guess then we're speculating this just based off of the fact that they don't want contracts. But I do want to loop back real quick because I was thinking about the whole. We're talking about crafting. We're talking about things that happen on the podcast. A little thing that popped up in my mind that I was actually kind of concerned about is, well, interested but also concerned about adding tiers to Flask mods. Sounds like an interesting idea, but holy fuck, my alterations help. that I have so many concerns about rarity there, because after like the double knockdown of cluster jewels, where you basically don't want to alt-craft them anymore, I'm concerned about having to use like 10 times the amount of alts I currently use to craft a flask.
What if
To be
To
fair,
not even get a top tier mod, getting
Uh-huh.
a tier 2 mod with a good second mod, because it's
Does it-
already a bit of a struggle to get two good mods together sometimes without bestiary.
does it
Like if I'm trying to
does
go
it
for
matter?
increased duration and then reflexes, that can take some time. But now if reflexes has 3 other tiers to it, well, shit. I hope I get the good one.
I don't think I'm concerned with that at all.
Yeah, it's like if the current tier, like we only have one tier of like a specific thing on flasks. Where would that be if they add 4 tiers? Where would our current power level of flasks be? Would it be a T2 and then they introduce one that's slightly better to entice you to roll your
I'll
flasks
give
more,
you my hot
harvest your
take on that.
flasks?
I'll give you my hot take, and my hot take is who actually crafts flasks past level 70? Like,
Who even uses flasks?
most people I know finish the campaign, get into maps, and then fix their flask setup where they alt craft the flasks that they want to use, and then maybe force the suffixes that they want from bestiary, and then you have your flask set up, and you're going to use that until you're done with the character. Outside of putting a unique flask into your build or changing around single flasks because you don't need ailment mitigation anymore because you achieved 100% ailment avoidance somewhere in the tree. I don't think anyone still switches their flasks around at a certain point. And having it so that higher eye level flasks can roll stronger versions of the mods, on the one hand, would allow them to buff flask affixes again to a point where they were. I mean, most notably, adrenaline flasks only get 8% increased movement speed now from the suffix. And if that is then the bottom tier mod and we get higher tiers on top of that, then I could see like the tier 1 mod, or like the best possible mod that you can get at flask level 84 plus, I assume, or something like that. We can actually assume that that one's closer in line with the nerfed mod, with the old mod size. I'd say it's something around
I think
20.
they said it was actually going to be a bit higher.
A bit higher? Higher than 30?
Part of me feels like when they mentioned Flask mods that new adrenaline would be higher than it was before, but it would be locked to a higher level.
It would
their
certainly be
reasoning.
higher than it is now, but it would be locked to
Yeah.
higher flask item level. And I don't think it's a bad thing. I mean, in Trade League, you'd probably be very tempted to just buy high eye level flasks from the get-go and to craft those, and then you don't stay engaged with your flask setup for longer. But from my SSF point of view, I would very much welcome an incentive to stay engaged with the flask beyond where I set up my flask setup when I got into maps, so that when I enter red maps, I'm like, oh, I got a item level 84 plus Quicksilver now. Guess I'm gonna roll a better version of the flask that I'm currently using. I don't
The
mind that.
number,
Oh yeah,
the
okay,
number
yeah,
he
I do
floated was
understand that.
24.
Do
That's
you
not
care
set though,
at all?
obviously.
Or is this just a thing designed to make like the min maxes more tedious? Like, is it even going to affect you in the slightest? Having like a slightly shit tier? Who cares? Are we even pressing buttons for Flask anymore?
I am.
They add a whole bunch of quality of life so you don't have to press buttons, but they make it so if you want to craft a perfect Flask, you're still going to break your wrist fucking auging them and re-rolling and stuff. Who cares?
Honestly, I've never used as many alterations and augments on a flask as I have trying to craft weapons or chest pieces or stuff like that.
So
Yeah,
does
okay.
it matter?
Yeah,
Just settle for bare minimum.
I guess that was my perspective approaching from I got a new character. I need Flask for this new character. I would like to have this mod combination of this Flask. This is gonna take some time, rather than the idea of I'm gonna upgrade my Flasks later. So I do understand that. Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, if we cause a big enough stink right now on Reddit, they won't do it. Let's give them some negative feedback and manipulate the game.
Yeah, I like the idea of mod tiers, and I'm okay with the idea of mod tiers for Flask. I'm just concerned that perhaps I'm just overly concerned about mod tier rarity based off of other systems in the game where mod tier rarity is kind of out of whack.
I'm hoping it'll just be all evenly weighted.
Yeah. And as we know from Reliquary Keys, evenly weighted things will still fuck you.
I mean,
I
me
don't think you can
specifically,
compare that.
yes, for sure. but that's okay. I'll just buy them if I have to.
Yeah,
I'll get
it's
someone
fine.
else to roll them
It's
because
fine, it's
I
fine.
don't do RNG.
And that
Two
gives
min-maxes
also
in SSF.
that gives power to the niche of Flask crafters in softcore or in trade economies in general. Like people have been making money off of crafting flasks and listing them. And
Yep.
if in the future they're harder to roll, that just give more power to those people.
I don't generally involve with systems that are relatively heavy on RNG because my RNG is trash. Which also, by the way, I still
And
craft.
the crafter. Yeah, well,
It's not really RNG. Not nearly as much as people think,
Are
anyway.
you saying it's deterministic?
It
Stop
depends.
using fossils, you cheater.
It depends on what kind of crafts you're picking. So you just, it's like the Royale. You have to pick the fights that you know you win.
Yeah, you can't make literally everything without RNG. But
Yeah,
there's
that
a
is-
ton
that
of
is-
things to be made
is-
that are super easy deterministic.
That is very much a point that I'll concede that I very much don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I just don't know about that area, and at some point, maybe I'll engage with it. But it's just
unique problem
a mountain that I look at. I'm like, oh god.
Another thing that was mentioned in regards to Flasks and upcoming or plans for upcoming changes to Flasks was Chris mentioned that they're sort of separating the mod pool for reactive versus proactive Flasks.
That seemed interesting.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting, where the reactive flasks would be the life flasks, mana flasks, hybrid flasks that you use in order to regain a resource after the fact that you've encountered an enemy, whereas the utility flasks would reward the proactive gameplay even on the affixes. Because right now I feel there's a little bit of a disconnect. Most flasks are sort of schizophrenic in the way that the buff part of the flask, the implicit part, say of a jade flask, wants me to press it before the enemy hits me. But then the part that says immunity to shock if you remove a shock wants me to wait until I got hit and shocked until I can then press it so I get the immunity. So yeah, I really hope that they're going to address that with the grouping of the mods and redesigning the mods around that.
Was that in the we're going to put this out next league list, or was that in the we don't know if we're actually going to ever do this list?
That was in the this is happening, but it might be 316 or it might be 317.
Well, it was all basically notes of internal conversations, so there's still just ideas being tossed around rather than like firm plans to make it happen, but it's like what people would like to make happen.
Honestly,
that was one of his, we are definitely doing something with Flasks. Okay. This is one of the current ideas for either next league or 3-7.
Let's just delete them. We don't need them.
Just delete them, no more Flasks. Put charms in the place.
They were talking about making it a permanent buff via
they're talking about unique that gives you permanent Flask. It's like, just give that to everybody. Just give us this utility is just now a passive. All you have is recovery flasks.
That would be interesting.
Low key, that's what I've got on all my characters right now, by the way. All my characters just have 100% flask uptime and I never press them again. That's just all of them.
Fine.
They just all go off automatically when they're full.
Yeah.
Just auto on full, auto on full, auto on full on everything, and then never press them again.
The only character that for me that doesn't have really good flask uptimes is my lab runner, but that's a different story. The fact that they messed up flash card generation in the lab.
Wait, how? And that's interesting. Give us that little.
In the patch they made it so higher level zones give you less charges. Lab has no density.
Oh.
So the one pack that used to give you flask for Azaro doesn't give you charges anymore. So.
Right.
Yeah,
and there's no way to add monsters to lab or to juice it.
Like you go through those 4 packs near the door. If those don't fill your flasks up, good luck.
Too bad.
Yeah.
Better be a Pathfinder.
Also, this is another thing I want to talk about because it is lab related. The warding change is kind of jacked up for lab.
It's terrible.
Because it doesn't let you deal with the temporal chain sentinels and the perma-tricurse phase anymore.
Oh no, right.
Yeah, I actually had to move the tricurse phase into the dangerous category for Azaro because you're messed up during that phase now. If you don't debuff him, if you don't destroy the fonts, you are just tricursed and you can't do anything about it. And I have to guess that 90% of players don't have a 100% reduced curse effect on them.
Yep. Right,
because
it's not a thing.
It is not okay
right
now.
Removing it doesn't do anything.
Yeah, because it'll just get back on you now.
Yeah, because it's just an AoE.
Not a good time. Anyway, that was a side tangent.
No, but that's great. It's related to, I mean, it's not directly an ailment to be cursed, but it's related to the whole Flask and ailment topic, where I feel like, yeah, just in general, there's not enough options for counterplay in the mid range. There's the fact that you have the Flasks that give you immunity, or used to give you immunity, that fell away now, right? So you don't have that anymore, and now you're just pushed harder and harder into complete avoidance for elemental ailments or getting some sort of curse immunity for curses, which there is pretty much no access to that. Most characters can't get a whole lot of reduced curse effect, really, realistically.
The only reason my current build is 100% is curse immune is because Guardian gives you 80% reduced effect, and I got 20% from the tree.
The Sanctum of Thought, yeah.
Which you probably wouldn't have gone for if you didn't get 80% handed to you. And then you're like,
Exactly.
well, okay, I guess I'll just cap this then.
Well, but
Pretty
20% curses is not that bad. If you have 80% reduced effect, that makes things a lot less threatening. Although I'd still be scared of vulnerability, because vulnerability gives monsters like hits against you a flat 20% chance to be inflicted with bleed. So even if you have 80% reduced effect, then that's still still 4% chance to be inflicted with bleed. And if I know monsters RNG, they're always gonna hit it.
Being perma-vuln against Azar and him bleeding you is not a fun time.
Absolutely not. No. And in general, I want to echo that. Like, it's not just Izaro. It may feel to you like Izaro is a big part of that, but hex font monsters are incredibly annoying. The Tormented Spirit that puts random curses on you every second or two.
Yeah,
and also the map boss in Academy is just, so annoying.
It's crazy.
Yeah. I guess I don't notice the map ones because my character is immune. It's just that specific lab situation where I notice it because I can't ignore it and I can't do anything about it.
I still haven't experienced problems with curses because I went from playing an int stacking Wanda wearing the curse immune shield to a Forbidden Right Totem character wearing the curse immune helmet, and so I just haven't really mapped with curses yet. I think those characters were picked specifically because they were put curse immune.
We were in the middle talking about the whole proactive, reactive, utility recovery flask, and utility recovery flask having different types of the same mod, like the adrenaline to onslaught difference and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds like a good idea. We just gotta see if they follow through with it. That's what honestly a lot of the podcasts that there was. It was, that's a good idea. Are you gonna follow through with it?
I feel like they're going to have to do at least most of the things that they said now. What I do wonder is how much trouble he got in at the end of that for just like spouting everything out. From, this is definitely not supposed to be read to you. And then here he goes and he just reads the next thing out.
He just kept doing it.
Yeah. Zero shit's given to get about like hiding things to be hyped for the next league. It's just all damage control.
To be fair, he did say he was doing it at the detriment of getting in trouble and at reducing the excitement for next league.
Yep. Like he knew what was up. It was damage control, and I think it did a really good job. I am personally significantly happier after hearing it, and I hope most other people are too.
Yeah, I think you just really want to make clear that it's a dialogue that they want to be engaged with, or that they want to engage with the players. Engage in with the players, because they just want us to be a part of their current plans for solutions, and telling us early what they're thinking, what they may be doing is actually probably a really good thing, because then, while reducing the hype a little bit, you also reduce the chances of significant backlash when those changes are announced, when we're already knowing sort of where the direction is going. But yeah, I don't think it was that much of a sidetrack, honestly, because that ailment topic is just deeply intertwined with the Flasks, and the Flasks are a band-aid fix, or have been a band-aid fix for a long time. to the problem that I said. There's not enough counterplay against curses and ailments in the mid tier between what was previously completely ignoring them because of flasks and going to completely ignoring them with stacking ailment avoidance. I personally would like to see more midway things where you can alleviate the effects to some extent, but not get to the point where they completely matter unless you make a high investment in that. And I think it would be cool if we could have a world where there is something like less effect of ailments or less effect of shock, rather than the reduced effect stat that we have that stacks additively with increased that may occur here and there. And that makes that stat really questionable because in some situations it's pretty good and in others it's not as good. But it would be cool if that was consistent. But there's been a lot of things mentioned, like more ailment stuff on different skills, such as the Arctic Armor stuff that we got. They talked about putting Ignite Immune on Molten Shell. We'll get more ailment immunity or mitigation on the Pantheons. Steel Skin, maybe Bone Armor, and etc. How do you guys stand on those plans? Do you think that would be enough?
So, yeah, I have it written down that bring back some ailments. They're putting things on Purities and Pantheons. Steel Skin and Bleed Immunity, Molten Strike, or Molten Shell, Ignite Immunity. Consecrated Ground giving you reduced curse effectiveness. Adding a Poison Bleed equivalent of the Crystal Skin node. And then I have, the last thing is, like resistances, building against these ailments, like resistances. And I guess I have a larger question, and that is, why do we need to become immune to ailments? Because I feel like that's the problem. What is it about the game that feels like it's required that we become immune to the ailments? Getting reduced effect on us is not enough. We must become immune to ailments. Why?
That seems... I can answer that, actually, because we didn't have to be until now. Until recently. By recently, I mean in the last year or two, people were really worried about it. And the answer is, it never used to be this bad. You used to very rarely get frozen. When you got ignited, it was a damage over time, but not one that would shred your health in half a second. It was just, oh, I am burning, but if I back out of here and stop taking other damage, even on my average character, it's fine, right? And that used to be a shock, but it was like 20%, not 50.
Yeah, but now we have 50,000 things flying at us, applying ailments.
Yeah, then now we have a shock on the ground is 50%. So you just take 50% more damage because shocked is on the ground. And so all of those things happened because we were permanently immune to them with flasks. And they had to be worth taking up our flask affixes, because otherwise we had just extra power on them. So ailments have scaled to this point because we had the old flasks. Now that we don't, it feels like they could all get tuned down quite a bit.
Yeah, there's more design space definitely there.
Yeah,
no, without the flask.
The biggest point for me is that I don't think freeze should be a thing, or if it is a thing, it should be something that happens very rarely. I'm okay with all of the other ailments. I'm okay with dealing with everything. But literally losing control of my character is not a fun experience.
So you also have problems with stun.
Well, no, because I don't get stunned. Yeah, but I get stunned for a split second.
Or you also get frozen for a split second, unless you open
No, you get frozen until you die. On many occasions. Even if your character is tanky enough to sit there for 8 seconds, if you don't have a button to press that says immune, you can just stay frozen for 8 seconds straight until you're dead. And that is not
very rarely.
I don't like that at all.
I think with like a decent,
super commonly. What?
Decent health pool and decent cold resist. I have to think. When was the last time I'm playing Occultist right now, so I'm freeze and chill immune, but I don't think you really get frozen all that much. I mean, you need to have a super heavy hit.
Last time it happened to me was like 3 hours ago in Delirium. There was a big strike that like that Veritania like trail that they reused the asset for, and it hits you and freezes you. And I hit my flask, and then the instant I hit my flask, it's like, okay, fine, you're free. Split second, you're frozen again, and then it just goes tick, 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 and then you're dead.
Mm-hmm.
That's one. There's like 10 other ways. I die a lot, dude. I got all the answers to death. What do you want to know?
Yeah, I
Don't
feel
know how
like
to
how do you not get frozen? Like, are you not doing
You
the
do.
league? Oh, you're an occultist. You don't get frozen. But like, even just doing the league mechanic, like any added, if you got an added cold roll on your map, every single mob in that entire map can freeze you.
In theory, yeah, but in practice, they need to do a significant portion of your life in one hit in order to freeze.
How much life do you
my
have?
sorry,
3,000.
my Archmage build had a low effective HP pool, despite having, had a low actual HP, high effective HP, but because I had a low actual HP, I was getting frozen more often.
Right, because you've got like 60% mom and 9,000 mana, but none of that matters. It's just the 3,000 life you've got.
Yeah,
or
so
whatever.
anything that would tap me with cold damage had a chance to freeze me at that point.
Yeah.
That's a good point, yeah. Yeah, true. If you think about those builds, and obviously CI, like we said earlier, which is significantly more scary now. Yeah, fair.
Catmaster is hardcore, which is natural selection, so he doesn't encounter freezes because if he did, he'd be dead.
Yeah, exactly.
Hopefully doesn't die a lot.
No, I guess if I wasn't freeze immune, I'd also have the augmented soul of the Brine King, where you can't be frozen for 2 seconds if you have been frozen in the
That's
last
why
2
that
seconds or
helmet
something
thing
like
is
that.
expensive in trade. Because everyone's fucking getting frozen, everyone's fucking dying.
Fair enough.
Sorry. Fuck.
Yeah, no, freeze I think is an issue. Like
Shock.
petrification is another one, but I don't really see petrification as a big problem. And there's reasons for that is one, it's not everywhere.
Yeah.
Right? So it doesn't happen that often. And two, there's a good indicator that you're getting petrified. It's super obvious. It takes a while to happen, and all you have to do is turn away or cross to its back. Right? Like there's very easy counterplays to that.
Wait, hold
that
on.
can happen once you've started to get petrified.
Learning moment. You can just physically turn your character around from petrification and it's fine. Did not know that. That's good to know.
You have to be facing something and it facing you at the same time.
That makes sense. I did not know that. I would just try to run behind them every time and it wouldn't work because I wouldn't be able to get around fast enough. Okay, that's something I should take note of. Just turn around.
Just step away. Just look the other way. It's literally like a Medusa deal. You know, got to look at each other.
Learning experience.
Like a slow process, so that you're like, I'm freezing, I am now frozen, and you have that small time that you can kind of maybe get some distance and maybe use a flask or something.
See, that would be a much better idea for me, right? Like you start to slow down, knowing you're getting frozen, and during that time you have time to press your reactive flask, but without losing control of your character.
What
that would be fine.
Perhaps you get chilled. Every subsequent chill applied to you after that has more effect until you get frozen.
Yeah, see, something like that would be okay, right?
Yeah, so then you just see it's like, oh, I'm getting chilled, I'm gonna get frozen if I keep getting hit. Let me either back away or hit my flask.
Yeah, or I've got like a counterplay button for it, right? And then you're like, oh, good, this is happening to me. I have a chance to react.
It slowly builds up over time that you are about to stop moving. Do something about this before you're dead.
Yeah, and we say slowly, like it could be over the course of 1 second, and it would be okay.
If they do that, they're going to take everything like burning and be like, well, you're slightly more burning, and if you hit too much, you're just going to explode. I want extreme versions now, like stun, silence, dead. That's what I want. Fuck yeah.
You like dying a lot.
I like watching hardcore players die.
Right.
Now that you've all played without perma immunity from flasks, ignoring the fact that right now there isn't enough other tools for us, right? Like assuming they're going to give us other tools and other options, do you prefer it this way?
I prefer it if it lets me counterplay things instead of ignoring them. It's good that we can reach the point where we can ignore them with different ways now, instead of everyone having blanket immunity all the time from their perma-up flask bus. And it's good that there are more options than just stacking 100% avoidance on all elements, which is what we effectively all did in the last couple of leagues, between the crafts from the Helena bench, the Veiled mod, the Crystal Skin Anoint, and the Thick Skin cluster on the tree, and like some other places still, maybe the Abyss Jewels. But in general, I would like there to be a more meaningful middle ground between, oh shit, I'm a sitting duck against this, and between, oh, I don't care about this because I'm 100% immune. And
I don't prefer it.
Reduced. I really would like reduced effect to be more valuable.
Yeah,
because right now it's full immune or nothing.
I mean, that's not true really for Ignite or Shock, though. If you have 70% reduced effect of Shock or Ignite, the Ignites do very little damage, so you don't care about them, and Shock is fine.
Yeah, but reduced effect
much weaker
stacks
version of Shock is
additively
fine.
with increased effect, and something like Awakener has like a huge amount of increased effect of ailments. So the reduced effect doesn't really matter that much. I would prefer if we had like a less effect modifier that would be a complete multiplier, because I don't care about being shocked as much if I could realistically change the effect of the shock to 20% of its original value, right? If instead of taking 50% more damage while I'm shocked, I'll take 10% more damage, I'll still be aware of being shocked and still try to put my positioning accordingly and to avoid getting hit, but I'll just not instantly die the moment I get shocked and hit by something else.
Yep. I did just realize this is another me problem of not doing, because of the character I'm playing, where my immunity is coming from other places. Where is the reduced effect? Because I only know where the immunity is from the bench and from certain items, but where's the reduced
Templar
effect?
and Witch, Anointed Flesh.
And reduced effect is also to replace the crafts on helmets and gloves with the reduced effect crafts, and you can only get avoidance on shields and boots now, and of course on the chest piece.
It's also a harvest jewel implicit to have reduced effect.
Okay,
Right.
So you can stack those and get more than 100%.
I guess that might be part of the problem, where if it's easier to get immunity than it is get reduced effect, because it feels like reduced effect is in odd places.
Depends on what kind of builds you play. I mean, there's the Anointed Flesh cluster, but like we said, that's pretty much very situational, because in some situations it doesn't really help you all that much that you would like to think.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Also,
I guess it's the
on many pieces of gear.
Yeah, I'm
So
I'm
there's
looking.
a lot of different avenues.
Man, there's just something up. This is an interesting mental thing, I guess, where looking at Crystal Skin versus Anointed Flesh, they're the exact opposite side of the trees. But some reason in my brain, Crystal Skin seems much more effective than Anointed Flesh, even though they should be about the same. But that's probably just weird player mentality kicking in there.
Yes,
Well,
I
Crystal
know everything
Skin
about
is
what's being discussed.
See, Crystal Skin is complete trash unless you stack the rest of it. Because if you're 95% chance to avoid, you might as well have 0. But if you get 90% reduced effect, that's really useful.
I disagree a little with the Crystal Skin, because I have 80% chance to avoid frozen boots, and I've been fine.
See, I feel like I might as well not
Cannot
bother.
be frozen
if I can't
is
get
better.
To 100,
Cannot be frozen is better, but 80% has been doing work for me so far.
I always feel like if I can't become immune to it, then there's no point. But when you go with reduced effect, suddenly if I've got 30% reduced effect, I feel that instantly. That's great.
I think that's
some
pretty
working
much
towards it.
It depends, right? It's pretty much like evasion versus flat damage reduction, where against a large number of hits, evasion is pretty good, even though if you are stacking evasion against a source of potential one-shots, yeah, you'll get one-shot still because it doesn't do anything to reduce the damage. But if we're talking about like farming maps and getting hit by a lot of monsters that could potentially freeze you, and then avoiding 80% of those freezes, you'll probably notice it's significantly better to have the avoidance than to not have it.
Also, other things changed before, because it used to be immune and now it's chance to avoid. And so shocked ground, chilled ground, burning ground always did, but shock ground, chill ground, those things still affect you.
Yeah, that's true.
If you're immune. But if you've got reduced effect, then they don't. Well, I mean, they still affect you, but at the reduced effect.
No, wait. If you have
I really
100%
like the
chance
reduced
to
effect.
avoid, then shock ground also doesn't do anything. You have
Yes, it does.
100%. Right?
If you're 100% chance to avoid shocked and you walk on shock ground, still shocked.
I'm pretty
Same with
sure
chill.
100% chance makes you immune, but I don't know. Maybe they changed something there.
Maybe it's only chill. I only noticed the problem with chill, to be honest.
I think it's only the case if you're not 100%. But I might be wrong.
It might have also been that was the character. Maybe that was the character I had 95% on and was like, yeah, this is trash. I'm gonna go with reduced.
Yeah, I think that's what we're talking about there. Is that basically the core of the issue is where avoidance only really matters if you get 100. If you don't, then there's still things that will apply that.
Maybe that was the character I only had like 90% chance to avoid on, and I was like, this is trash. Everywhere I walk, I'm slow or shocked. It might have been that one.
Probably was. I'm pretty sure 100% reduced effect, 100% immune also makes you immune to the ground. But I think the ground effects have like a fixed effect. I don't know whether reduced effect works the way that you described it. But honestly,
reduced definitely does.
Okay.
I have 70% reduced effect of chill. I don't even notice chill maps at all. Just walk over them. It's barely even. If you're paying really close attention, you can tell you slow down a bit, but it's barely noticeable.
Guys, if you have problems with the stream rubber banding, I always hear that from people. Like, why is the stream going back and forth and stuff like that? It's your automatic quality setting. You need to set the Twitch player to a fixed quality, because if it's automatic and your connection is not very consistent, then the player will go from 360p to 1080p to 720p, and will every time it changes the quality, it will jump to a different point, like 2 or 3 seconds ahead or behind. We'll use that as a great little moment to move on from ailments and to quickly talk a little bit about the leak mechanic before we round things off. How do you find the leak mechanic? We haven't heard anything from our guests this time about this. We've talked about it, obviously, a lot on the previous episodes. But SuitSizeSmall, aside from running the lab, you play a lot of the regular game. How have you found the expedition encounters? Oh, your microphone is off, by the way.
Uh-oh.
No way.
It's broken again.
SlipperyJim DDoSing the mic.
This is the web.
the tram.
Sounds like garbage.
Okay.
That's
Nope.
Nope.
Nope. Nothing.
Really? Oh my god.
Yep.
Yeah, now you're
go.
back.
Nope. There you go.
Oh my
You
god.
just gotta scream.
You know, I'll just swallow the microphone. The leak mechanic. In the maps, it feels fine. Logbooks are great. Is my general consensus on the situation. The maps just are kind of there. The mechanics in the maps for me just kind of feel there. I'm excited to run through the 29 logbooks I have, or I guess not 29, like something logbooks I have, because I've just been kind of stockpiling them.
Oh yeah, that feels insanely good when you do that. Especially if you got a lot of Tujin in there.
I have exactly the same thought. Like it's okay in maps. Like it's a little annoying that I have to read. It's okay. Logbooks though fun.
I don't know how I feel about some mods being more detrimental to certain builds and the fact that they're not highlighted. Like playing on the Archmage character, I didn't know that there was a 10% remove your mana on when a monster hits you mod until I got it, until I did it, and I was like, oh, don't do that anymore.
Yep, that'll ruin your Archmage character.
Yeah, that seems also really bad for CI.
Mana.
It's like, how do you like 9,000 mana?
Every individual mob removes 900 extra mana per hit, no matter what the hit is, even if it's a tiny one.
Just like, I'm gonna put my frost bomb way over there and be back here. It's fine.
There is a culling strike one kind as well. Or like removes 10% of your mana.
Yeah, it's like I don't know how I feel. There's certain mods that are just so detrimental that they're not highlighted. Because I get why immunity ones are highlighted, because don't do those. But then there are the other ones that are just gonna straight up kill you depending on your build, and you're like,
They
Those
could
are kinda
color
weird.
code them, but then Reddit would get angry that colorblind people can't play the league.
Here's the thing though. They had a solution to that. They
Mhm.
showed us
What's
the
that?
solution last league.
What is it?
Well, they just made symbols.
I have a
And
really good
over the
memory.
course of the first like 4 days of playing, we got used to the symbols and knew which symbols were okay and which ones were bad.
Fire and stuff.
Yeah,
Where is
they had symbols. Why
the
aren't there any
icon?
fucking symbols?
I forgot the ultimatum actually had those. Oh my god, I forgot about
Uh-huh.
the ultimatum like symbol mechanic.
And why
Ultimatum did
can't
a
they
lot
just
of things well.
highlight, or at least just highlight fucking excavated chest, runic monster, and then generic monster, just in the sentence, so I can easily discern whether I want to fucking do this. It's
So you're
17 runic monsters with 0 runic monsters. Why?
Can we
Gimme.
get a loot filter for expedition mods?
Oh my god, how good would that be if they were like, these are the options for things. Do you want to color any of them or whatever? I'll be
Hide
like,
all the shit ones.
yes.
Show the ones that kill your build. Oh,
Yeah.
Big red
Anything that I
text on
can't
the
do on
ones I
this
have to
character, it
avoid.
will be yellow.
Yep. It'll be like have some green and then just stop having to read it and just be like, if you see a green one, hit the green one. And if you see a red one, avoid the red one.
it's purely designed to slow us down. It's just how much do you want to get slowed down? You could skip it and go fast, or you could just like read like a couple and be like, skip, or you could sit there and read the entire thing, or you could just be Reddit and fucking blow up everything and complain that it's overtuned. That
Or
works.
What was the quote? What was the quote?
you
You deal
can't
fire
skip it.
damage, you pick the fire immunity, so you just have
What do you mean
chose
you
to
can't
have a
skip
bad
it?
day.
Yeah.
You can't skip it. The logbooks are too good.
Well, you just read. You read
I
the
mean, if
entire
you can't
thing really
damage the
quickly. Look for
monsters.
logbook. If it doesn't say logbook, you leave.
Okay, here's the thing though. I'm
can't
convinced.
read?
I'm still convinced that the logbook thing is bullshit.
What?
Well, I think the one that says it drops more logbooks, as far as I'm concerned, it stops logbooks from dropping.
You're an idiot.
I
When I
had
stopped
you just have a
selecting
really
it,
bad
I got way more
feed.
logbooks.
Yeah.
As soon as I stopped picking them, I got way more. I now avoid them actively,
think
and I get way more logbooks.
I wish I remembered
mean-
when it happened, but I think one of those mods gave me 4 logbooks from a single expedition.
What the fuck?
I'm never picking up one of those boxes again. They're bullshit.
Yeah, I call bullshit on your bullshit calling. I don't think I don't think they do that much. I mean, certainly not reduce the amount. I mean, that's a tinfoil hat theory there. If there's ever one about
it is. It's definitely
drops.
me with a tinfoil hat on. Definitely.
I think what just happens is like confirmation bias. You just expect to get more, and now the ones that you find you didn't do the remnant because you generally avoid it, and now you chalk that down as a win in your book when you would have possibly gotten another logbook if you had unlocked the.
Mine was more like I got 2 logbooks over 5 days, and then I started intentionally avoiding it, and now I get a logbook on average every 3 maps.
Yeah, but the thing is,
First 5 days, right?
No.
Where you weren't getting any? No?
No.
Okay. So you got a shit
This
ton.
was
really
after
early
the
on.
buff.
I think it's also learning
buff.
more how to unlock them efficiently and how you should focus on the runic monsters rather than the chests. I feel like there's other variables that may have changed in your approach that led to a higher overall drop rate of logbooks than just leaving out the logbook remnant.
I mean, maybe, but I'm getting tons of logbooks now, so I'm just going to not take them again. Feels like the safe approach.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, basically.
Yep.
How many have you gotten?
I don't know. When I was farming up a headhunter, I sold like 40 of them. And I've only run like 20, and I have no idea how many I have right now. But whenever I get a good functioning character, I'll run them all.
Yeah. I haven't been playing as much as I want, but I've definitely I've gotten at least 29 from, I guess, like two primary characters that got to level 90.
And you definitely split them all and then run them. So you've got like, you could run like nearly 60 logbooks off that. Everyone's splitting them all, right? At least everyone in trade.
With the beasts or what? Right. The fossils. How much are they?
With the beasts.
How much does split beast cost?
Yeah.
Like 30C?
Well, why
okay, then it's worth because the...
why would I buy a split beast when I could just buy a logbook?
No.
The good logbooks are 50, right?
the good logbooks are like 50 to 70.
I should just sell them then.
Yeah, I should actually look at what is a quote unquote good logbook then.
The ones that have Danik or Tujin, so Black Scythe or Grandson.
Why is
Exactly
Danik
that. The ones
Why
with
is
the
that?
good factions, those are the ones that are worth,
How is
60,
Danik
70
good?
chaos.
Danik's
Because
crap.
Danik lets you trade into Tujin. From Danik, you can everything that you get from Danik, you can trade into Tujin, and Tujin
Wait
is
till you
good
hear
because
about
he's
this thing
Tujin.
called the trade website, and you can just trade into anything.
Yeah, but you have to interact with people.
That's true. That is the worst.
Oh yeah, you are right.
Yeah. People ask me
suck.
why I don't run twice enchanted in the lab, and I say I don't want to deal with trade.
Oh man.
Couldn't you just
Oh.
once buy 600 twice enchanteds?
No,
But yeah,
that still takes a while to do.
That
Well,
was
you
No,
could-
you
during.
buy them off one person.
Most people do just stack up on as many twice enchanted as possible, but me, I'm lazy as fuck, which is something
You
people
could just
don't
do one trade
Yeah, but you used to
and
get
have
so
them for
many
the rest of the league.
from Delirium and from Heist, but now you don't get that many anymore, I feel. Like, at least personally, from my personal SSF experience, I have significantly fewer price enchanted in my stash than I had a couple
because
weeks
you're running
ago.
white heists, though.
Can I go and buy like a tab full of twice enchanteds and just give them to you?
There's 6 chaos per,
Is this a flex?
which is
6
slightly
chaos!
higher. They're slightly higher than that they used to be. Sorry. Keep going. I'm currently looking at bulk exchange to see what is the highest stock that someone has.
This segment of the podcast brought to you by TradeBots.
Right? 140, I see. Someone's got 140. Many people with like 70 or 80. Someone's got 140 of them.
I see 144. 8 chaos per.
Yeah.
That's fair.
This still boils down to me being lazy as fuck and not wanting to deal with trade.
That's fair, but now at least you know that the option is there.
I've always
And-
known the options there. People yell at me to do buy orders all the time. I just say I don't want to deal with it. I'm just gonna lab. I'm just gonna map. I don't want to sit down for 2 hours to buy all the twice enchanteds on the market.
That's fair.
Are you
You
actually...
underestimate my extreme laziness when it comes to not wanting to deal with trade sometimes.
Extreme laziness runs lab every day. Pick one.
Something doesn't compute.
The
Do you actually-
the difference is I want to do one of those.
Wanting to run lab. That's a different kind of breed right there.
That's weird,
Yep.
but at least that makes sense. If you want to do it, then
You just need
Do you
to get
actually
Yeah.
run lab outside of your like daily layout obligations?
Yes, at the beginning of the league, I did 3 days of lab farming, made 30x from enchants.
Nice. That's good.
Yeah, and that's
Nice.
how I got started. That's how I got started with my league.
And do you plan to do any prolonged lab farming sessions still?
yeah.
Do you plan to make a
Uh,
character that can
yeah.
run one of the Uber versions relatively fast?
Well, because I spent 16x on that Holy Relic character, I do definitely need to run lab again for currency. I have been entertaining the idea of actually making the Berserking Reverse Chill 1k movement speed runner for the Harvest Labs. I
Sounds
just
good.
haven't really sat down to actually look through that character and what goes into it in terms of itemization. But that is definitely on the things I want to try.
I keep calling it Giga Lab. That one, those ones, the Giga
Chat-
Lab.
Chat doesn't let it go that I accidentally called it Uwu Lab once.
Uvu lab.
Uber Lab? Is that?
Yeah, because someone abbreviated as Uber Lab, which was UU Lab, and my dumbass brain read Uwu Lab.
Woo woo.
And my chat is not letting me go with that.
That's fantastic. That's its new name. I've
Yeah,
got
it's
some
just,
change my mind.
I do plan on. Oh, fuck me.
No, it's great.
But I definitely do plan on doing some more of that at some point whenever I feel like actually running lab, because that was a intense 3 days of just constant lab for me, and I kind of just want to actually progress my atlas for a couple of days. So I'm just gonna focus on that until probably another good lab day pops up, and I'll hop back in the lab for a bit.
That's fair. Slippery Jim, do you have
God damn it.
any big
Sorry, look at that
projects
chat.
still planned? You're doing something with logbooks, right? Like something 180 plus logbooks.
Maybe just
With
100
Danik.
of the little guy. What's his name? Tujin. 100 Tujins probably. Firm up some logbooks, run them. I wanted to do a boss killing thing, but I suck. And
Are we not
builds of that
doing
place
1,000 level 68 logbooks?
Why the fuck would I do 1,000 logbooks?
Why the
Because
fuck
you're
would you
the
do
guy
any
to
of
do
the
it.
things you've ever done? What are you talking about?
Oh, I've got bigger shit planned. Fuck the league, man. You don't even. Oh, why would I do no? Gotta do something much worse.
I've seen you run 10,000 to the same map. You're gonna be like, oh, why would I run 1,000 logbooks?
I need 1,000x for a meme. Can you help me get money? I need 1,000x.
I can tell you how to make 1,000x.
If you say crafting,
I'm not
I will
doing it
reach
for
for my
you.
monitor and slap you. How? Tell me. I need a boss killer as well. Do you know any boss killer builds that are like really, really not gonna die because I'll half-ass making it and die anyway? Don't say
Yeah.
fuck.
Intergon Miner.
What'd you call me? Ah,
The Intergon Miner. Winter Orb.
okay.
Not Winter Orb.
I winter.
Winter. Yeah. That one.
Endgame farming, logbooks, boss killing, something about fishing. 1,000 Gwennen resets. Just the next up from 100 Gwennens. That's it.
Oof.
That's all I can think of.
Oh.
Not lab, that's for sure.
That's a reasonable amount of stuff to do still.
Yep.
Oh, and like a really, 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 really big money-making strategy that I've been sitting on for years that no one has figured out, and because no one's figured it out, GGG has never patched it. So I'm going to do that, but it's not lab running because people figured that out and they patched it.
Oh wait, so you're not telling us what it is? You're going to keep it for your video?
I'm going to do it for like a month and see how much money I make, and then I'm going to do that thing, and I'm just going to go, check out all this money I made, and then I'm just not going to tell anyone how I did it.
Oh, I thought we were going to get the top secret stuff now.
Why? If you tell people how stuff is done, GGG patches it out. It's probably not abuse.
Probably not.
The reason Empyrean got banned is because he told everyone. I'm not going to tell anyone.
He also had people watching him.
No, there's a money-making thing I did in Legion League. I did it the entire time during Legion League. I never told anyone it was printing me money. People just assumed I was playing the game normally. It still exists. It still prints money. People are idiots. No, they don't know what they're looking at unless you tell them.
That's fair. I once made like 250x in raw chaos in like 2 days on stream, and like no one picked up on what I was doing. I was just mapping.
I got
no one realized what I was doing.
He's in the chat. I haven't told him what it is, and I'm not going to tell him. He's just going to come along for the ride. If he figures it out, I'll have to kill him. I already have, and I'll do it again.
Honka. Oh, okay, in game.
Yeah. Well, what do you? Jesus, Catmaster. The first piracy and now IRL murder. What's wrong with you?
So the thing I was doing on stream can't be done anymore. So it can, but it's not profitable to do. We were just running like tier 19 maps, and just dropping like 30 fucking pairs of 86 two-tone boots per map. And they were at the time just selling for 30C a pair, and you'd fill your inventory twice per map. And so over the course of a few days, we're just like, oh, well, now we've got 22,000 cows. But I just did it and didn't make a big deal about it. And so there's like 150 people watching it for like 3 days straight. And
you were playing the game well, whereas Empyrean was definitely probably, abusing shit that is obviously bannable. And I'm just going to preface that saying, I think I'm playing the game really well in this regard. Please don't ban me.
Please don't ban me.
Oh no.
I'll be fine. It'll be great. Yeah. That's everything I can think of.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah. Well, I thought we were going to talk about cosplay at some point.
Do you still want? Yeah, I mean, I was generally just asking the question into the round as we're looking to round things up now. Whether there's any big projects planned, and I assume that SuitSizeSmall doesn't want to leak about upcoming cosplays, but maybe you have a little teaser for us.
Well, I'm in a bit of a situation because I go back to university in 2 days. I think. What's today? Today's
Ooh.
Saturday. Today's Saturday, right? Yeah, so Monday I got to go back to university, so that's definitely throwing a wrench in the system. I currently don't have any PoE. Well, okay. I have plenty of ideas. I just haven't really decided on which one I want to start with next. In terms of cosplay stuff, and next up is Halloween, I believe, for me because of the school timeline. I'm probably gonna start playing for Halloween at this point. Now, because it's Halloween, I don't think I'll be doing something PoE specific. Um, I I'm gonna keep it under wraps until I actually decide on what I want to do then. But I don't know what you guys want me to talk about outside of any projects there. If you have any additional questions for me.
Wow, Slippery Jim has a cosplay.
What the hell?
You prepared for this.
What were you saying?
Why are you getting that out now? Damn.
What do you mean? I've been waiting to segue into cosplay for ages. You wrapping it up? Okay, sorry, my bad. Go ahead.
You're cosplaying a Templar, I see.
Yeah.
Uh,
I'm also
Okay,
not
have
wearing
the
any.
patience. I do
That's
not
good.
have the patience to build cosplay anythings. I always like it, but I always look at it and I'm like, that's really cool. I should do that. And then I look at it for like a split second more and I'm like, I'm not going to do that. That's too much work.
effort.
Yeah, I'm
Just
no.
go to eBay and buy it.
I'll just appreciate when other people do cosplay and did not do that myself. It's too much. It's too much work. I
I
can't do
a
it.
really flashy assassin. Sorry. Have you played Assassin's Creed? It's like MTX skin for assassin.
Like
You look amazing.
Africa.
I was like, I have a hoodie that I want to go grab now, but I don't want
Do
to
it.
hold the green screen down.
I want to make. I don't know if I should. Yeah, I want to make a hoodie that is just a toucan, and so when you pull it over,
Oh,
there's
that's
a toucan,
good.
and then wear that to the next ExileCon in 6 years, whenever that comes out.
It'll be right before PoE 2, I reckon.
Honestly, that sounds about right.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But I
Yeah.
guess I will admit, like, just to briefly talk about a little bit of how I do plans and whatnot. Baylor, you mentioned looking at something, it's like, oh, that looks like a lot of effort. I don't want to do that. That's actually kind of where I tend to start when it comes to my ideas. For example, after the expedition announcement, I was looking through. I didn't realize there was a press kit, and I looked at the press kit. And I was like, okay, what in here can I do? And it came down to two things. One was Gwennen, the other one was Varana, the Reaper.
Yep.
And you might be thinking about that. I was like, that's two very different scales, and it was. But I eventually settled with Varana because between the two, they're both incredibly detailed. But I can't sew. I can make armor though, so I ended up settling on that route instead. So
Yep.
that's kind of how I tend to approach like the beginning of a project like that, and that's also kind of where I'm currently stuck because I suck at sewing right now. I do want to actually try to make a pure sewing project, but that's going to take some time. So it's just about figuring out what you like and weighing your personal skill, whether or not you want to do something you're familiar with or try something new and actually try to, learn.
And you do try to do it mostly by yourself, because the option would be obviously to collaborate with someone on something like that.
I do have my mom help me with a lot of sewing if I need to sew. I've done some minor accessories recently. The most recent non-PoE cosplay, the Nezuko cosplay, where it was basically a full kimono. She made the big parts of it. I kind of made a lot of these smaller pieces to it. So I do have help from my mom, but I would like to kind of try a whole thing on my own, and that's kind of what I'm looking at and thinking about for Halloween right now. What can I do on my own?
Yeah, that really makes me interested. I mean, I've always wanted to do a little bit of cosplay. I did, like, for a Heist League start, I got like an eyeglass and some cat ears and a nice shirt, but I wasn't really like a concept cosplay. I just like put on some funny stuff that wouldn't look like I'm doing my casual stream outfit. But no, I've always found those things extremely interesting.
That actually reminds me, when first time I met SlipperyJim was at ExileCon while I was on and he asked about how the heck did I make that one-eyed monocle, and I literally just said, it's a pair of glasses I cut in half.
Stylish.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, it's like sometimes something you think is elaborate. It's like, no, it's pretty simple. You just
Just cut a pair of glasses in half. Easy.
Yeah.
You can get relatively cheap, like reading glasses at the supermarket.
Oh yeah, it was like a
little
$5
stores.
pair of like prop glasses I just snipped in half.
Yeah,
Nice.
probably would have done the same if my local costume shop didn't have like a prefixed prop glass already, like a one glass Is it a monocle in English? What's the word for it?
The monocle.
Okay. Sometimes my brain tells me, nah, that can't be the right word because it's the right word in German. But my brain tends to forget that words transcend languages sometimes.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. I didn't prepare that well, so I don't know exactly what I want to talk about.
Is
Do you
it?
guys have anything you would like to ask about?
Hang on. Is it the same name in German? The same word exactly?
Just with the L after the.
You do the
monocle.
thing where you duct tape yourself in like duct tape, and then you cut it up, and then you use that to like get foam patterns, or how do you make your armor?
I've done that occasionally, but I also definitely bought and modified some foam armor patterns. Like this is what I can actually kind of show because it's sitting right here. For the Verona cosplay, this is the base piece. You can kind of see there are actually you can see some of the seams of where actually the base pattern is. You can also see these diagonals that I was trying to draw on for that layered detail that she has. But what eventually evolved was I used this drawing to actually make a second armor piece. And I legitimately just took made a second body armor, cut it into pieces, and physically moved it on top of each other, and that ended up working out.
Have you seen that like slightly wavy cutout that you can do on foam that intertwines with itself to make it look like it's chainmail, but it isn't?
Yes,
like
I have seen that. Yeah,
perfect chainmail. I want it. I don't even do cosplay, and I want it just so I can fuck around with it.
that is. I actually have the super thin foam, like in a giant roll behind me. That
How much does that
perhaps
stuff cost? How much does all that foam and stuff cost? Broken.
like it's good. I don't remember. Honestly, I think my mind just blocks it out. I was like, don't think about how much this costs.
Oh no. Okay, don't worry about it.
That kind of price.
Is there a like?
It's not that it's expensive. It's just that I need so much of it because if something messes up, then you just got to remake the piece.
Yeah, and then you also don't only make one cosplay, but you make several runs per year. I can imagine it to be a fairly expensive hobby. Next to Path of Exile, which is already potentially expensive. No, that's great. Thank you for sharing these details with us, and I'm looking forward to the next one that you're going to be doing. In terms of big projects that we're all working on, Balor, is there something that you want to hint towards that people can be looking forward to seeing from you?
I have no idea, man. I'm just trying to find a build to play. That's all. Just trying to find a build. There's only like 3 builds.
Make Manabon work.
I've seen it work with me on there, but I'm trying. Like I'm in the I've got a headhunter and I want to do super juiced endgame
Okay, that's true.
mode, and I didn't really want to play spectral shield throw just because everyone else is playing it. But there also aren't like a lot of options.
You're a hipster.
All right, then
Yeah.
I'll ask the question the other way around. I still got my 6-link Impulsor, and I still got Barrack's Respite, the ring that gives a shock prolif, right? When you kill a nearby enemy, kill an enemy, inflict a shock, an equivalent shock on a nearby enemy. What am I supposed to play with that? If I want to make something that's
Lightning Warp.
No, just Stormbrand.
the Stormbrand? Because I was looking at Lightning Arrow, but then I'd be feeling kind of weird to play Elementalist with Lightning Arrow, but I feel like I want to play Elementalist for the minimum shock effect.
Yeah, no,
What's your
that's
take on
just
that?
a Stormbrand build. That's 100% a Stormbrand build. EO, Stormbrand. Gets no crit. It gets a lot of life. It gets a lot of defenses. You get to use golems, which are really good defensively. If you get a Legion jewel, it works with like 3 different kinds of Legion jewels. So if one drops, it's almost certain that it'll work. Except since you're in solo self-found, if one does drop, it'll be the garbage green one or the white one no one wants. So,
Is that a dab?
you know. But it's definitely that one. It's definitely that one. The Herald of Thunder Auto Bomber unfortunately hurts itself too much for me to want to suggest it for hardcore.
Yeah, I
Like
see.
it's just a little too like you get a lot of defenses in it, but then you take a large portion of that defense just to counter the own damage you do to yourself, and that's not ideal.
I see.
Or you could go no
I'd
defense.
rather go with Stormbrand. That is also an option, but not for hardcore though. But yeah, no, it would just be a Stormbrand. It would just be a Stormbrand, for sure.
If you use totems, can you still explode with Impulsor?
No.
Ah.
Yeah,
Can
unfortunate.
you give an Animate Guardian an Impulsor, and then like?
Yes, and it has to get the killing blow.
Yeah, but then you can just like play Animate Guardian instead of Reaper, and it will be better, clear.
What?
Maybe.
I mean,
How?
playing
It's
the
never gonna happen.
auto attack.
I don't know how builds work, dude. Everything
have
is
you ever-
magical in my brain.
Have you ever had an Animate
theoretically
Guardian?
possible with enough money?
You ever had an Animate Guardian follow you around in a map, and have you tried to look at him attacking and like how
Feeding
he
frenzy.
kills monsters?
I don't know. I'm just saying shit, man. I don't know how games work. I have a very small knowledge of lots of things.
That's not it.
Yeah, it is.
That's
Just
great.
enough money, anything will work. I'm losing
With
my
enough
mind.
money, anything will work.
I'm just looking.
Yep.
I'm just looking to
Rockets.
pull suggestions. I personally was hyped to make either a wander or like a bow character with lightning arrow, but you're so convinced that Stormbrand is better, I might have to consider that. I just really want to shoot projectiles and kill things and have them explode. I don't need. It doesn't even need to be doing bosses, honestly.
Lightning arrow will work, but for lightning arrow to work like that, you would need lightning conversion and a really good fizzbow. I mean, you could start out with the unique fizzbow, but you really need like lightning conversion somehow, and probably the best way is going to be either Temple Gloves or Watcher's Eyes, which I imagine you don't have access to.
Hmm.
It's the limitability of solo self-found that says Stormbrand
Yeah.
is the only legitimate option to me.
But if I was to convert into HC trade, lightning arrow would be an option.
I would think so, because it would be easier to get a lightning conversion Watcher's Eye, which would be my favorite
And a
way to
good
fix the
fizzball.
rest of that.
Yeah. I'll think on it.
Is Abyss a Zana mod? Probably not.
I don't
think
think
it's-
this league, no.
Thought
Okay.
it
But I
was.
don't know.
Yeah, Abyss
I have
is.
no idea.
Is
Yeah,
this
because
not-
I remember Octavian talking about using Abyss on his Atlas
Just
in order to
self-farm
sustain maps.
Samurai's Eyes and get the Watcher's Eye and self-farm. Problem solved. That'll only take you like 3,000
3
hours.
months.
That's nothing. Go on.
Honestly, I think I'd be much more likely to actually do the Elder and get the draw.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a better plan.
that
Actually
then.
do Elder and Uber Elder or whatever.
I think my cold dot build can tackle those things if I progress it further. It's just right now, while I feel I have enough damage to clear like pretty much anything up to tier 15, 16, and I probably can also clear those. I just don't want to, because I don't want to look at monsters for like half a second before they die, because they may decide to hit me in that time still. I think the character is doing very well with the new gloves and with some 21 gems, hopefully hitting a 21 Val Cold Snap soon in one of the temples. I think it has potential. Let's just hope I don't die to trivial stuff like I always do. Well, I think everyone is pretty much welcome to stay, but I think we want to cut off the podcast here before we go too much over length. Already went a little bit over. But on that note, I quickly want to thank SlipperyJim and SuitSizeSmall for coming onto the show, for sharing your insights regarding the Chris Talk and the Harvest and the cosplays, most importantly. Guys, if you don't know where to find SlipperyJim and SuitSizeSmall, I'm going to drop the links in the chat just in a second, and they will be, of course, under the video or in the description of the podcast. Also, check out BalorMage, of course, and come and say hi on my stream if you want to support the creation of the podcast. The next episode after this one, which will be uploaded in full to YouTube and the podcasting platforms where you can find it, in case you missed a little bit of it. The next episode will be on the next Saturday, And at our usual time, if I remember correctly, it's going to be 10 a.m. GMT, and we're going to be joined by the one and only Zizaran and the one and only Gazi TV, which is really interesting because we already announced that next week Zizaran is going to take to talk to Chris Wilson on a podcast setting, and then the week after that, Gazi is going to have the opportunity to talk to Chris, and we're going to get to talk to both in between. So I think that's going to provide a lot of interesting discussion of the points brought up in Zizaran's interview and suggestions for Gazi what he should bring up in the follow-up interview. So
It's going to be a
everyone.
lot. There's a lot of Chris content coming up with it just in the community in general. Like a lot.
Too many podcasts. It's like there's no way. There's no
Too
way
many
to watch all of
podcasts,
them in a
not
week.
enough Chris.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye, and we'll see you on the next episode.
I don't know.